It's been a long time since I've seen you.
Yeah, it's been a few years, I think.
It's been a while, hasn't it? And you literally texted me yesterday and said, "Oh, by the way, I'm around." I was like, "Right, got to get you in to do it, have a chat." Generally, introduce yourself. Tell people who you are.
Well, I'm Dave Whitefield, and I'm a yacht chef. Have been for a long time, like you know.
How long?
43 years. I've been cooking at sea for 43 years. This next month. So,
wow.
Yeah, quite a while.
So you know your shit then?
I wouldn't say that.
Well, there's a sign of a good chef. A good chef never admits he knows everything because you can't.
Yeah. I don't know much.
So that's a good sign.
Yeah.
But so you said to me around town, I said, right, can you come and do a podcast? You're like, I don't even know why I do that. But of course, for me, it's important to have people on who really understand cooking, but also yachting, because this is a very niche market for chefs. And I think I was talking to someone yesterday and they were telling me pretty much that the market is drained of experienced crew for some reason. And they think it's to do with COVID. COVID kicked in, less boats needing people. And therefore, a lot of people left the industry and went, I'm going to do this, open a restaurant, do something else, move back to London, go back to Australia, wherever it may be. And they got into life. Maybe they had a kid, maybe they found a wife or a boyfriend or whatever it might be. And they didn't come back to the industry. And they were telling me there's actually a drain on that part of the market at the moment. You've been in the industry a long time and there's a lot of green chefs coming through. So what I wanted to find out from you first of all is, how did you get into yachting? How did that come about? What we woke up one day and went, I fancy working on a yacht. I mean, what happened?
Well, I just had this massive wanderlust since I was a kid. And that's the initial. I just wanted to work at sea, like a big, massive thing for the ocean. And, I sail as well. So I wanted to go as far away as I could from where I was standing at that point. And then, so I got a job at sea. Initially as a galley boy, entry level, and then I spent a few years on big ships, and then found yachting in the late 80s.
Like cruise ships, or
no, more like big supply ships.
Okay.
And passenger liner, the QE2.
Yeah. Oh, you worked on a QE2, did you?
Yeah. I was on there for 3 years.
Really?
Yeah, and then that was interesting because during that time it was a troop carrier.
Yeah.
At some point it got requisitioned by the government for the Falklands War.
Did you go out there?
Yeah.
You were on the vessel
Yeah.
when because it was a rescue ship, I think, wasn't it? Well, it took troops out, and it was.
Yeah, it was a troop carrier going out. We took 3,000 troops, and then when the troops were dropped off, we turned into a hospital ship and brought survivors from the Sheffield that got blown up with an Exocet missile, and a few others, Sir Galahad, I think, and a couple of others.
All these years I've known you,
And
I never knew that part of your history.
Yeah, that was quite well. I got a medal.
Did you really?
Yeah. I was a war veteran at 18.
Were you really? So you were 18 when you were on the QE2 in the galley?
Yeah, before that. So I was on there for 3 years. So, it was a normal passenger liner doing transatlantics, world cruises and stuff. But that's the old school liners, like Cunard things. I think they're a bit different now.
Yeah.
Massive and...
Yeah. Different game now, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the way they get supplied is a different game as well, I think.
Yeah, it was the end of an era. The old classic liners, Cunard, sort of all those old school ones. But what's interesting is the people that you work with. They were from all the old boys. I was 18 then, so all the old boys were from like the Mauritania, and there were all these sea stories that they had. The
Mary Rose.
Yeah, exactly.
Some of them were on board with the when mutiny on the Bounty happened.
Exactly.
So you on the QE2 after that. You obviously after your time in the war, and your medal, and you went home with your medal. Yeah. What happened then?
Put it in the bottom drawer. Never saw it for 25 years. but
do you sometimes get it out and just wear it at a party?
Later, I'm thinking now, but then that's not a really good move because I look like an old war veteran now. Battle scars of yachting.
Yeah. Well, no, exactly. Yeah. In the super yacht industry, there are some scars.
Yeah. So. I did that for a few years, and then I found yachting like in the late 80s, and I worked on a 100-foot yacht in Egypt, massively busy charter yacht.
So 100 foot is what, 30 metres?
Yeah, something, and they took like 18 guests.
It's a big boat for those years, isn't it?
Yeah.
A big yacht.
Yeah.
in 1980s.
Yeah, and that was out of Sharm el Sheikh in Egypt. That's also a massive eye-opener. So provisioning there...
Well, it still isn't easy.
Yeah, for 18 guests, you'd go to the market, and then there'd be like a few people sitting there with newspaper down on the concrete or dust or whatever, with a few dry green beans on it and stuff, and a few tomatoes, and you had to cook for 18 guests.
We literally did a delivery to Sharm el Sheikh about 3 weeks ago.
No way.
Yeah, no shit. And obviously things have changed, but again, no disrespect to anybody, but the agent told us it needs to be there. It takes him to get it from Cairo Airport 36 hours. It's a 5-hour drive, but he said it's 36 hours to get it through customs, get it in the van, refrigerated van, drive it to Sharm. So the captain said, okay, so you're going to have to land on this day. And I was like, yeah, I'm used to this shit, normal. Yeah. So fine, get the flights booked for Paris, get it in on this day. It flies at the right time, arrives in in Cairo. 40 hours, I think, before it needs to be in Sharm. It's about 10 o'clock at night. Captain texts me, goes, the food's on the way to the fucking yacht. We haven't even got a chef. And I was like, what are you talking about? He said, I've just got a message from the agent saying, van's on the way. He goes, it's like 2 days early. I went, nah. He goes, literally got it through customs in about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
The plane's on land. It's come off straight into the van, and the guy's fucking gone straight down to Sharm with it. The captain's like panicking, going, we haven't got a chef. He's not here till tomorrow. I think, yachting is quite fun at times, isn't it?
Oh yeah, there's loads of stories, like endless.
That's my only Sharm delivery story. But so you were in Sharm, and then what happened after that? Just when you started on that yacht, the super yacht industry was this big.
Oh yeah, you knew everyone.
Yeah,
you're on every boat. So
you've gone literally from the day the industry started, almost. I mean, you're not 150. No, I mean in the sense of the modern super yacht industry.
Yeah.
We're not talking about the Queen's boat and stuff. I mean, literally the day it started with boats of 30 metres were proper super yachts in those days.
Yeah.
Now you see a 30 metre, no disrespect, but compared to the 140, 50, 60 metres yachts out there, it's a different game, isn't it?
Yeah, completely. And different expectations. Although I'm not sure. Sometimes, people have expectations no matter where they are.
Yeah.
But, so I did that for a while, and then I did another small yacht, and then I went to Donald Trump's yacht, which is an 86-metre boat. So back then...
Are we free to talk about that?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's enough time has passed under the water. I mean, obviously, it's tricky when I have yacht chefs in, because most of them are still in the industry.
Yeah.
They've maybe done an NDA.
Yeah, that's
so it's you've got to be really careful. So we have to be careful not to mention too many boats and people you've worked with. I think that's normal in this environment.
Yeah.
We do have an edit button, so it's not the end of the world. We wouldn't put it out. I mean, when you came in today, we worked together probably 12, 13 years. I was like, this is career-ending chat for me today. This is when you completely destroy me for everything I've ever delivered that was wrong. And I was like, this is a fucking gamble.
Well, I think I've done that already on the phone and WhatsApp.
And videos and what the fuck is this tomato all about?
Yeah. Well, it's much easier to complain now with modern tech. Like
right.
Back
so
in
if
the
you
day, I'd have to send you a fax. Say, this is bullshit. And then wait 2 days for the reply.
Yeah, by then everything's calmed down and you've actually moved on, haven't you? Forgotten, why is this guy replying to me about tomatoes? So you were on Donald Trump's boat where? In the Med or America? Where was that?
All over. Actually, we did a circumnavigation and then it was in the Med for ages.
So a lot of people, I mean, obviously we all know Donald Trump. A lot of people say a lot of things about people who are famous. You worked with him for how long? Or for him, for how long?
I was on the boat for probably 5 years.
How did you find it?
Well, you don't have, you're not their mate or anything.
No. You're not.
But they were really down to earth American families. So that, American families are more. They don't really have a class system. So we're all the same kind of vibe. I don't know if you. If you know what I mean. But they're really cool. So the kids love to come down into the crew areas and stuff and play with the crew and make friends and stuff, while the parents are busy and stuff. And they're really down to earth. And they were always pleasant when you spoke to them, tell them what's for lunch or whatever.
Yeah.
They were pleasant. But yeah.
That was on, what's the boat called now?
I think it's
still floating about, isn't it?
I think so. I think it's called Kingdom now.
Yeah, that's it. So Kingdom KR.
Yeah, and it was Nabila before it was Trump Princess.
Yeah. I think it's over in Italy somewhere at the moment.
Yeah.
It's just sitting somewhere. I don't know who owns it or what's happening to it now.
Yeah.
Been in the water a while though, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I haven't seen it for years.
Yeah, it was parked up in Antibes for
I remember
quite a bit.
seeing it in Antibes, but I haven't seen it for years.
Yeah. So you worked for Trump, and that was cool. And so, as the years have gone by, how have you found quality of food in different places change? Because this is something what I want to get onto today is for all those chefs out there who aren't in the yachting industry, sitting in a restaurant somewhere working their ass off, and thinking, hold on a minute, I've got the skill set here. This might be an industry I could go into, because I think it's always good to bring new people into the industry, especially restaurant chefs who've got their classical training. I think sometimes that's missing from people's CV a little bit, definitely from mine, but they need to know what this industry is all about. So give us a guide to quality of food over the years as you've gone from the 80s through to 2023.
That's actually a pretty difficult question to answer. It changes. I mean, because like a lot of things have changed with that. So it's like, ordering systems with technology. So for example, like when I was first in yachting, there was no internet, didn't exist. There wasn't any mobile phones, didn't exist. There wasn't any Sky TV or anything like that. Even the navigation systems were pretty basic, the electronic ones. So that's grown a lot with everything else. So then when you get to cooking, obviously the ingredients are pretty much the same. Yeah,
carrot's a carrot, cucumber's a cucumber, of course.
Exactly. And then the styles of presenting those and using them, and then some new stuff that's been discovered or grown, like micro herbs that are unusual
and stuff that's come generally due to global economy, where it's getting shipped across the world, where maybe before you couldn't get a mangosteen in Antibes.
Yeah.
Unless you're in the Far East, you wouldn't see that.
Yeah, exactly.
And now it's literally on the market in Antibes, isn't it? In the mangosteen, people look at it and go, "The fuck, what do I do with that?"
Yeah. So with social media and stuff, there's a lot more exposure to food, and YouTube, and you can, it happens to me when guests ask me, "Can you make something?" And I go like, "Sure," and then go and research it and make it.
So I've always said, if you've got a classical background of skills, you could do that, and you can read. Yeah. You can cook anything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's not. I mean, there are some amazing specialized chefs out there that I've seen myself on social media. Guys that make sculptures and stuff out of chocolate.
Well, chocolate, yeah. I see
like
those
that.
videos on Instagram and places like that all the time.
Yeah.
And they're molding chocolate and then melting it to bend it and all sorts. I mean, and some of it's incredible.
Yeah.
But it's not particularly edible, is it?
No. But that's the thing. On yachting, you don't have that kind of time and the resources to do it. Like there's so many examples of that with dry ice or something. If you're presenting something with a dry ice thing, Japanese thing or something like that, it's cool, but dry ice doesn't last long. I think we nearly suffocated a crew member once with the dry ice in the freezer.
Well, generally it's quite dangerous. We put it in a poly box. We would put a note on it. Because generally, as soon as you open that poly box, the gas will come out. If it's been closed it's been closed in there 24, 48 hours, the gas comes out because it generally melts into a gas. And it depreciates by 50% every 24 hours. So if you want 5 kilos and I'm delivering it to you in Monaco and you're going to Sardinia, I need to give you 10 or 15 kilos for it to have enough to do what you need to do. But that gas is in the box. We seal it in a poly box because if it's open, it's going to melt quicker. You open it and you take a breath of that, you're down.
Yeah, so that's why we had that once. There was a crew member looking for ice cream or something, and then the ice cream wasn't in that freezer, so he was looking
in the wrong place.
And he didn't feel, started to feel a bit weird, so he got out of there quick.
Yeah, it's dangerous stuff.
Which is actually a good thing because it highlighted an issue, a potential sort of hazard.
Yeah.
If he didn't make it to the door, he probably wouldn't be around now.
So you think so? Food has changed, as in the different. I say the variety of what you can get has definitely changed.
Yeah, I mean it's more exposure and education to what's available and what things are.
And do you think guests are also reading and seeing, and therefore going, "Oh, I like that," and I've been to Nobu, and I'd like my black cod with miso on tonight, please, chef. You're getting paid to do it. Get your shit together, and you're like, "Okay, I've not done it before, but I'll have a crack." Yeah.
So that's for example, you get asked for anything, and stuff you've never heard of, like some pasta dishes, like they just send a note down.
Yeah.
Can chef have that? And you're like, what the hell's that?
So what do you do? You're on a charter yacht, which you've done lots of over the years, and it's Tuesday morning, and the guest says, "Oh, really fancy that Nobu black cod tonight. We had black cod on our list, didn't I?" Now I know that there's other ingredients that are needed apart from miso and black cod.
Yeah, well, you've had the phone call, haven't you?
Yeah, I've had the phone call.
And the WhatsApp message.
But you need to kind of marinate it for at least a day, don't you?
Yeah.
With the miso and the sake and stuff. You need to marinate that for like a day.
Yeah.
For it to really be able to cook properly and give you the flavour you want. So what do you say to a guest who's literally said, "Can you get the chef up? Breakfast was great, lovely job. Black cod, miso, Nobu tonight, mate." And you're like,
yeah, well, you can either just explain exactly what you've explained to them, and they're like, "Oh, cool, we'll just have it tomorrow night."
right.
You know, and then, or if it isn't, then you just do it. If they just particularly want it right then you just make it, without that process.
Yeah.
And then
It won't be as you might like to have done it, but they're the guest at the end of the day, and they know the score.
Yeah.
So.
But they're mostly amicable and take your advice, or they don't think about things like that. I mean, there's other ones like where the tender's inbound 5 minutes out, and then it's like they get on board and sit down and say, "I want this octopus dish, baby octopus," and the first thing it says on the top of the recipe takes 45 minutes. And
on the preference sheet it said, "We don't eat squid."
Yeah. All that happens, that.
Yeah.
So,
And the whole thing, well, we're vegan.
Yeah.
But when I'm drunk, I like to have a Wagyu steak.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're not judging people. We're just saying it does make it hard, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, all that happens, like with preference sheets.
How do you deal with? I was talking about it yesterday. How do you deal with really, really, really difficult clients? Literally nothing's right, and actually, you can look at them and go, "Ain't going to work out." How do you deal with that personally?
Yeah, I haven't really had that. I mean, I had some tricky things, when people are having arguments or bad moods within themselves and stuff, but I haven't really had that. And the interior manager or chief stew or
That's their job.
Yeah, exactly.
So you just pass it on and go, "Hey, look, it is what it is."
Yeah, well, they try to put out fires and then just bring you something you can work with,
Yeah.
rather than there's not much you can do about it.
So how many times have you travelled around the globe?
7 circumnavigations
7?
I've done. Yeah.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
So in 40 years, you've been around the world 7 times.
Yeah.
On super yachts.
I
pretty
sailed
much.
my own boat round once.
You've got I keep seeing pictures. You've got, how big is this?
It's
Sailing yacht, isn't it?
Yeah, 47 feet.
So it's 47 feet, and you sail that single-handedly, and you go all over.
Not single-handedly. I went with my daughter and my girlfriend.
Okay, and you go all over.
Yeah, all through the South Pacific.
I've seen
Coral Sea. Everywhere.
And so that's a passion then.
Yeah.
And you fish off the boat. You catch food.
So that's an interesting thing for suppliers. So when you get, and it's amazingly difficult when when they come on a yacht, they think they're at sea and there's seafood everywhere. And it's just not the case, So everything you get at best is like frozen or, like a couple of days old by the time it's gone from distributors to, if it starts in Rangies or something.
Yeah, absolutely. If it's caught in Brittany and it's sea bass, it's wild sea bass from Brittany, it's taken to Rungis.
Yeah.
So it's processed at 5 a.m. when the boats come in, sent to Rungis, kept in cold storage. It's then split between the suppliers who've bought it on auction, and then those suppliers have sold it on auction to the guys all over France, or all over Europe for that matter. And then it goes on, trucks and gets shipped out across France. Those suppliers get it, and they've got to get it sold as quickly as possible. It's a very complicated industry, the food industry.
Yeah, and like for seafood, they have this impression that it's like you just
wander down the port,
nip a rod or something over the side, and you've got amazing fish.
But I've seen you have caught tuna off the back of a super yacht.
Yeah.
All sorts of stuff. I've seen your videos, and you post a lot of stuff. People should go and actually follow you on Instagram, because you've got a lot of stuff on your socials and Facebook, haven't you? Of stuff you've done over the years.
Yeah. Like catching fresh fish, the difference when you just pull it over, big tuna, fillet it up and stuff, and then that's fresh tuna.
Yeah.
So that's a benchmark for
So that's what
for like a year sailing around the world, and I know what fresh tuna is just because I've had to, deal with the whole process myself.
So when you get tuna now, tell me, what is the difference between that tuna that you've pulled overboard, you've caught yourself, whether it's on a super yacht on your own, but whatever, you caught that and you prepare it, compared to a piece of tuna that you receive from someone like myself, for example. You can immediately, I would presume, with all these years of experience, know how old that is.
Well, we wouldn't say exactly how old it is, but you can know it's not fresh.
Colour? Is it colour?
Yeah.
Is it firmness?
Colour, firmness, and you get all sorts, with different suppliers and stuff that, you can put your finger through it.
Yeah. Oh, really?
And stuff,
soft, really soft, and then you know it's old.
Yeah, and it's like
an avocado, same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Or a mango. We love mangoes. We've got some history.
Everybody knows me about the mango story, but so where that comes from, I was working on a yacht, and I got a call from upstairs that said, Dave, the boss wants to see you.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and it's always so shit.
It's when a chef calls me after delivery and I'm in fucking trouble.
Yeah.
That's never a good thing. If you don't call me, I'm like, great.
Hey, Damian, how's it going?
Not good.
Just
not good, Dave. I was fine. Not good now because we delivered to you at 2. It's 6 p.m. You've gone through the produce. This call is not to tell me that I'm fucking great.
Yeah. So, the mangoes situation. So got a call, boss wants to see you. And I was like, oh, shit. So go up there, and he's sitting at the table, and I go, yes, sir. And he goes, David, that mango was perfect. Make sure it's always like that. And I was like, okay, thanks. Off you go.
Bit of pressure.
Yeah, so... But
you're fucked, aren't you? When you hear that, it's like, oh, no. Because it's a fresh vegetable, fruit and vegetables. It's like they all vary in ripeness. It's hard, isn't it?
Yeah, I see it like, so I can go down the road and get myself the mango that I want.
Yeah.
I think so that's the thing about chef and supplier knowing. And then you can hammer these things out eventually when you've got some working history together.
Yeah. I mean, I know.
Yeah.
Now, when you go mango, I know what you want.
Yeah.
And I know if you don't get what you want,
so like
it's going to be a tricky conversation.
So many times, like I've ordered mangoes and they come in the green and the hard.
Yeah.
Which is great for, a Thai green mango salad or something.
Yeah.
You could use one of those.
But it will never go ripe.
Yeah, they never do. Like, so it has to arrive like that. And people, like I've heard people say, put them next to some bananas or something.
All bullshit.
And it's like, slam the phone down. It's like
Ingy's on the phone. They want their cricket ball back.
Yeah.
Do you know? I was talking about someone the other day, and obviously that may not be listened to by some people, but this is a really interesting point. Somebody said, "Oh, you just stick them in a bag, or you stick them next to a banana." No, that's not the process. Generally, if you pick something off a bush, that's it. It doesn't get any riper. It doesn't ripen naturally. That's the process finished.
You don't get the sugars.
What happens is it starts to grow bacteria and go off.
Yeah.
And it lets out a chemical. It's creating badness.
Yeah.
So if you buy an avocado in the supermarket rock hard, you go, it's okay, I don't want it tonight. I'll stick it in a bag and it'll be fine. All you're doing is creating it. It's going off at that point, which softens it.
Yeah.
It may even go slightly softer green inside, but it's going off. Ripening is on the branch, on the bush, on the tree.
Yeah.
As soon as you take it off, the ripening process stops. And I understand not everybody can afford a fucking Peruvian Kent 700-gram mango in perfect condition. I know they're expensive. Maybe it's the small 450 grams, but you would lose your shit because I give you the 450 grams. You go, there's 25 grams of mango. The boss has 12 of them for his lunch. So you have to have the big one. It has to be ripe. This is the problem. People don't understand that people. Who are these people? A lot of people don't understand that it can only ripen on the branch. The whole concept of taking it off and sitting it in a bag or next to a banana is kind of a false economy to a degree.
Yeah.
It can get you out of shit in the sense of it will change. The avocado will soften, but the flavour's not going to be as nice as if it was picked ripe. And that's the problem with getting it to a boat quickly. And your problem is, and any chef who's listening on a boat or in a restaurant going, should I do yachting? Have a think about it first, because you are in port. You get delivery Tuesday. You may be going to Sardinia and the charter starts Friday. and they're on for 2 weeks. Sardinia may not have the produce, it's harder. It's an island.
Yeah.
So you buy as much as you can here. You buy 20 avocado ripe and 20 to ripen. But even the 20 to ripen can't be hard because they'll never ripen.
Yeah, well, I was going to say that about if you've got guests on for 2 days and they love Mexican or something, and that's happened to me, and they want guacamole.
There you go.
And then you've got 20 hard mangoes and 2 semi sort of ripe
Avocado.
Yeah. And then I don't know if it's you I've said it to, but it's like
never to me. Career-ending comments that never happened.
so it's like they want guacamole, and then so you make a small amount of guacamole with the one ripe avocado.
Yeah, and put it at the top.
And then it's like, oh wow, epic! Like there's more of that, and then they're off in 2 days.
What do you do in that case? Blitz it. I mean, what do you do? You got hard mangoes in the fridge. There's nothing you can do about it. You're fucked. And they just go, we need another kilo of that, please. Like 12 of them sitting out there ready for the special guacamole.
Yeah, well, you send the deckies in if you're somewhere where it's possible, and if it's not.
And I think this is something a lot of provisioners, no disrespect to them, I personally think they work fucking hard. There's always a few dodgy ones here and there, but that's the same in any job, any industry. There's good and there's bad. But just I want to be fair to them all and say they all try their hardest, okay? But I think we don't realise sometimes the angle from the chef's point of view. And I've always tried to put my feet in the shoes of the chef or the chief stewardess, whatever, male, female, because they're the ones at the sticky end. I'm not the sticky end. Yeah, you can phone me and go completely crazy because my fishmonger gave me the bit of tuna with the hook mark in it as they pulled it off the boat 3 days earlier. And yes, you shouldn't receive it, of course. So that's your right to give me shit. But I have to understand where you are. And you've got a piece of fish that you need to prepare for sushi, and it's unusable.
Yeah.
And you've got guests going, where the fuck's the sushi? This isn't acceptable, because you could lose your job.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's who the clientele is, and you don't want it for you. You're giving it to them, So
you've got to be able to get your job done.
These people were, they eat in sort of every best known restaurant in the world.
Yeah,
that's their sort of dining places frequently, and then there's you with this shit piece of fish and a hard mango.
Yeah,
it's like
2 miles out to sea. Yeah, and they're like, and they turn to you, go, we're in the middle of the ocean, mate. And you're like, I can't. I mean, you are right.
They don't make that connection.
Why would they? They're paying you to make that.
They're sitting in Nobu, the night before they arrive, and then they're on the boat. They don't put things together like, oh, there's just they need that level of service.
But that's why I quite like interviewing, talking to chefs about their life on board, because at some point, somebody who charters vessels, their own vessels, may have a listen and go, actually, I get that. I mean, there's no reason why they should give a shit, to be fair. They could easily turn around and go, you know what, I pay you enough, I don't need to care about that, that's your problem.
Well, that's exactly it.
Which is completely fair enough. It is my problem. When you call me, it's my problem, and my problem is my staff's problem, and their problem is my supplier's problem, and their problem is their supplier's problem, and it goes down the chain. And if I give you something that you're not happy with, I go to them and go, what the hell happened? And they look at me and go, well, Johnny down in the, where he's filleting it, and to be fair, he's worked a lot of hours, and I think I pissed him off yesterday, so he thought, fuck it, and he banged a load of crap in the bag, sous vide it, and you can't tell in the sous vide bag, so it went out, and you've delivered it not knowing.
Yeah.
And I've gone, right, I'm coming down to see him because this is my livelihood and my staff's futures, and you just put a load of shit in a bag because you worked him too hard.
Yeah. Well, that happens, doesn't it?
Who do you blame for that? It's very tricky, the food industry. That's probably any industry is, but food industry, which is what I'm involved in, you're involved in, is very tricky. Now, one other thing I want to ask, obviously, years of experience. I get a lot of chefs who are new to the industry who come in and have a chat before they start on their new vessel. I had a really cool guy last year. He's fantastic. And he said, what corners should I be cutting on a boat? He was new to yachting. He said, I don't know where to cut, what not to cut. And I said, well, don't order whole fish. And he said, why not? That's how I do it in the restaurant. I went, I haven't got time for that.
Yeah, exactly.
You want fillets prepared nicely, sous vide, and if they go in your free or the blast froze or whatever it may be, depending on how far out you are to sea at times. But there's certain things I know to recommend and say, if you don't have to fillet it yourself, don't.
Well, there's other benefits from that, getting fillets as well, is that you don't have the garbage on board, and obviously you have to store your garbage. So if you've got a bag full of fish skins and whatever,
and bones and crap,
and it's a few days before you can get the garbage off, you have it stinking and stuff, and then it makes garbage. So unless you need the bones for stock, but you can do all that when you're at the dock, make up your stocks before the charter.
Get rid of your rubbish,
mise en place. You don't have that, and you've got more free time. But that can work on anything, like managing your time is a big thing, because you have hours of rest to comply to and stuff like that, which they're getting much more stringent on now.
But you were telling me that before, and that's really interesting. Tell me a bit more about this new regulations that are coming in, because I think you've been in the industry a long time, and a lot of people working excuse me, in kitchens and galleys and stuff have been used to, you work whenever food's needed, and on a charter that could be 18-20 hours a day. It could be a rolling kitchen and crew, compared to, and again with no disrespect, interior crew who could be on split shifts to make sure the clients have already got somebody around, so they're getting maybe a bit more rest. I don't know, am I right or wrong? Or am I completely
if you've got
wrong?
more numbers in your department, and just a few more, like in the galley, if you have, say for example, 3, a crew chef, a head chef, and a sous chef, or a third chef, or whatever the configuration is, you don't have enough people to cover the full day. So you can do mise en place and stuff like that and get organised, but it's tight, because when guests want something, somebody has to do it.
Yeah.
So it could be a fruit platter just in the middle of random. Somebody has to make that fruit platter.
Yeah.
Then it could be a cheeseburger, out of meal times, and then if you've got 12 guests and they all want something at random times, when they ask for it, they call the chef.
It's a rolling kitchen.
So somebody has to do it, but there's a chance that they don't call it, But it's once in 2, 3, and 4 in the morning when they've been out ashore somewhere, come back, they want some food, you're asleep, Dave, need a cheeseburger, or it's like they all want something, which happens, and that's the level of service you're providing.
That's what you're getting paid for.
Yeah, is
the constant need possibly to cook something and get out of bed and go and do it.
Yeah. So back in the early days, there wasn't any hours of rest or anything. Before this legislation came into effect, there was nothing. So people just did it. But life in kitchens is brutal anyway. It's unsociable hours. Everyone, if you've been in the industry for a long time, that's the way it is. You just crack on.
Yeah.
But now there's legislation saying,
within yachting specifically,
that you need so many hours of rest per day, in a block and stuff.
And that's regulated now.
Yeah, so I think it's administered by the flag state, and then it comes to management. So
a few captains listen to this going, fucking shut up. It's a busy fucking charter season, my friend. Get your shit together.
Yeah, but if you're from the school where you just did it, for years, and that now it's just you have to comply to the paperwork.
So you have to have fake paperwork.
No, so you have to write down what you do.
Yeah,
and so it makes it quite impossible to invest the time. So you can prepare by getting things done for you. That doesn't take you an hour extra. So if you have to wake up in the middle of the night, you
just bang it on and get straight back to bed.
Yeah, exactly, and things like that. So there's many things across the whole spectrum of food.
But as a head chef on a large vessel, is there more paperwork to be done? Are you responsible for making sure that paperwork's filled in now? So it's not just cooking like a god and being able to go out on deck and wow the clients and sell them what you've got in your fridge rather than the random shit they're going to ask you for, which is all part of the deal. It's you have to sell what's in the fridge, don't you?
Yeah, well that's the thing. When you provision, you fill up, and you have to use your stuff that
guide them away from stuff you haven't got.
Yeah.
If somebody says, I really like, I'll stop you there.
Yeah, this is better.
Did you mean place? I was going to say too, I think you mean place. Place is very popular right now. Gordon Ramsay's massively into place. You just sort of wheel them down a certain pathway.
Yeah.
I quite fancy turbot, but we'll go with place.
Yeah, but that's another thing you were talking about new chefs to the industry and stuff. So this happens all the time. You try to get the preferences before the charter.
Wow, that's a conversation.
And it's getting hold of the owners or the
guest,
the principal clients or whatever, to ask them what they want, and so that's the job of the PAs or whatever, and they can't get to them, or they get annoyed or something if they're getting bugged about they've got other bigger fish to fry.
And it's not. And if you think about it, say I'm the principal, and I'm renting an 80-meter boat for a week with my buddies, or friends and wives and whatever it might be, colleagues, whoever. I might be the principal, and you're coming with me because you're one of my mates. I don't know what you eat.
Yeah.
Why would I don't give a fuck, to be completely honest with you. So the PA's not getting just in touch with me, but all 12 people individually, maybe.
Yeah.
And in that case, do you try and get 12 people to go to the pub for a fucking beer? Yeah. On the same night, the same time? It's a challenge.
Yeah.
If you're a PA of my PA as a principal, and I go, you're going to have to get in touch with Jerry's PA, Anna's PA, Susie's PA. She's like, you're having a laugh. No, they don't even reply when you fucking call them. You can see how it doesn't work. And I think a lot of people need to understand that I sit here as a provision and go, how the fuck do they not know what they need?
Yeah. Well, that's
and
why
you sit there and
the
go,
calls.
how the fuck have I not got a list? And the broker will go, how the fuck does nobody know what they want? And the PA will go, why the fuck is nobody replying to me? And the guy he goes, I don't care. I'm paying €500,000 for this child to get your shit together.
Yeah, they got other things.
Got business to go on, and parties and weddings, and they don't care about. You're the chef. Get the food. You've got your budget. You know what we're spending.
Yeah.
What are you asking me whether I want fucking seafood for?
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah, so that's that. So then when the time comes, they're coming on board. You get preference sheets last minute, and you stock up according to what they're like, and then they get there and they don't like that. It's like, who said that? I don't eat that.
And you get messages sometimes saying we don't want red meat.
Yeah,
and then they turn up and they want burgers.
Yeah, all the time.
And you're like, right.
Yeah.
And that's when you get Damian. It's midnight, Dave.
So earlier in the early years, that could be frustrating.
Yeah.
Like now it's not.
So what do you do?
It's just whatever.
Yeah.
That's the preference sheets they've got. They don't eat any of that stuff, so I'll just get what they do eat.
Yeah. And if it changes, it changes.
Yeah. But then at the end of that, they'll ask you like, why does this cost so much?
Yeah.
And that's very expensive for
stuff we didn't even eat.
Yeah, we don't eat.
So this is the problem.
You've got like Wagyu and bit of Kobe in there. And
so you need to prepare for every eventuality. The client gets the bill for every eventuality, and they turn around and go, "But we don't eat scallops."
Yeah.
And you've got 3 kilos of scallops on. I'm not paying for that. And you're like, how do I win this battle?
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's difficult. So, like you're talking about, is there paperwork and stuff like that? There's lots of things to think about.
It's a tricky game to play, that one, isn't it? How do you deal with that? I mean, what happens? What does the captain get involved and go, well, in all honesty, we didn't have any preferences. We had to make sure we had a good variety for you. We promise we'll eat them.
Yeah, I mean, but those are challenges that you have to deal with. I mean, there's so many others as well, but it's not just cooking.
Yeah.
Like, oh, there it is, it's cooking. It's like the other thing is cooking a menu or something, and then the phone rings and the gal says, oh, they're out for dinner.
So you prepared the food and they're gone. Mate called, we're going Nobu. That's that done.
Yeah, because a boat pulls up and saying, hey, we're all going to here.
Or oppositely, you've got 6 for dinner.
Yeah.
And one of their mates calls them and they're on another boat and they say, oh, my mates are coming over, there's 9 of them, so it's 15 for dinner.
Yeah, exactly.
And all of a sudden you're like, well, that's that fucked, isn't it?
Yeah, there's so many variables. But then that's the thing, you just have no emotion to that. Like,
so in the older days, you would probably panic, think, shit, how am I going to deal with this? You probably deal with it now. Completely different person when you see those things happen now compared to the first years.
It's not a thing.
It's not an issue for you. You know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
So so this whole concept of a green chef or a chef who's only been in the industry a very short time, and they're moving up to bigger boats and bigger problems and more management of staff, which is huge. You're not just cooking. If you're on an 80 meter, 100 meter, 120 meter, you may have three other people in that galley.
Yeah.
You could be dealing with rotational stewardesses, chief stewardesses, stewards, whatever. No sexual innuendo meant, whoever. You are literally dealing with a whole host of people that, as a head chef, you now, or executive chef, have to manage on a daily basis. Am I right?
Yeah. I mean, there's
nightmare.
Yeah. The other thing is that's interesting, like the Michelin star thing. You see it quite a lot where people want it in, job descriptions, looking for a Michelin star chef and Michelin background, rah, rah, rah. And then when you get on a boat, there isn't 20 chefs around a plate or time to prepare, and there's changes that happen while you're doing the menu. Like, oh no, I want this. You spent 4 hours creating this thing, and then 5 minutes before, oh no, we don't want. We want this, and that happens. Change happens all the time.
And I think the other big thing about restaurants, and I think it's something that I think is relevant, is that if you're a restaurant owner, I don't know if you've ever owned one.
Yeah, I have,
right.
Yeah.
So you plan your menu of what you're going to do. Maybe it's a seasonal restaurant, so you change it 4 times a year, whatever. Say you did, which most don't. You got your menu set, but you don't just go, that's what I'm going to cook. You go to your suppliers, you say, I need tangerine lace, I need half a kilo a week, and I need it on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
And he goes, no problem, I can get that sorted.
Delivered at 10 every week.
You go, cool, I've got that sorted. But it's going to take me a month to source it. But when the season comes in, I'll think, and then he calls you back a week later. He sends you an email, says, right, I've sourced that. That is a constant order we can do weekly for you, no problem. That's very different to a chef on a boat texting me at midnight saying, oh, can you add half a kilo of tangerine lace to the order for tomorrow morning? Because it's not the same game. Do you know what I mean?
And we've done that. We have the experience of that.
We've both experienced it both. A client turns to you and says, I really like tangerine lace. And you'll go, I have to Google that. I do it. There's not day doesn't pass by where I don't go. I get an order, I go, right. Okay. Get on the computer, Google it. People say to me in there, they go, do you know what that is? Yeah. I know what that is, yeah. It is foraged in Norway. Do you know what I mean?
Foraged in oh, hang on a minute.
I had one chef say to me, because you can forage for this up. I know you can get it up in Isla and stuff in the winter. You can in the summer you can just walk up. It's just growing. Yeah, I'm sure it is, but what are we doing here? I understand. That's another thing. They go, it's growing on the mountains. Go and pick it up. I'll go, right. I'll get up at 5. I'll whiz up to Isla, which is an hour and 45 minutes. Grab that, whiz back. So you've got, and then I'll charge you €180. And you go, you're taking the piss. I buy it in London, the market, for a quid a kilo. And you're like, yeah. It's a difficult game, isn't it? Because, and that's, I did you think you saw the podcast I did on the pricing. Did you watch that?
Yeah,
Bits
I did.
A bit long.
I saw that. So,
what are your thoughts on pricing as we've got post-COVID, not post, middle of war, all these different things that have affected pricing? How do you feel about that now? You're on a boat. You're thinking to yourself, budgets for crew. Let's talk about the crew budget. There's usually a crew budget.
Yeah.
It's not the same as guests come on, they get what they want. But for crew budget, it's very strict in some boats on exactly what can be spent.
Well, you get a amount per person per day.
Per day.
Yeah.
That's obviously, I would have thought, had to go up in the last year on a boat.
Those things kind of get left behind quite often, because they don't take into account of... And those prices that you talk about that are on cooking oil or sunflower oil or whatever are added in increments of stuff, and nobody sees that.
And if you do oat milk, Bristol oat milk on a boat, all of a sudden this year it's €1 more per litre compared to last year. Yeah, that's it. If everybody drinks it and you go through 10 litres a day because everyone's having Bristol milk in their bloody coffee in the morning, that adds up hugely, doesn't it?
Yeah,
10 of those a day. 30 a month. I mean, it's a lot. It's your budget changes constantly. So, what do you think boats will do about that this year? Yachts, whatever. What do you think? What do you think captains have even considered that? Do you think they're looking at it going, right? Crew budget's the same as last year. That's a problem.
Yeah, I don't think they would look at it. They've got other things to do. Yeah. At the creeping increases. It's just the end. They get the end bill, and they're like, what? How much? Yeah. And then
25% increase on prices from last year, summertime, middle of summer to now, and it will go up more as the summer comes because of demand and supply and all that business. More restaurants are open, more hotels are open, more people are travelling, therefore more food's needed. There isn't quite as much. The prices are higher. It's going to keep going. How does a captain? He's looking at that and goes, "That's the crew quote." You're having a laugh.
Yeah, it's difficult.
Why have you got beef on here?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it happens to me.
Yeah.
I've been asked to take items off the list.
Yeah.
You know, higher end items for crew. But you know, that's,
so what do you do as a chef? What do you do if the
Take
captain
it off.
says, "Sorry, this is silly. This is too expensive"? What do you do? How do you do it? You change your menus for crew.
yeah, you just if you use what you have. I mean, it's the crew chef's job, you know, to come up with his menus and stuff. And there's where the food's kept, and that's what you've got. Like
On a large vessel with a good quantity of guests on a continuous basis, I would have thought it's easier because you've probably got extra stuff there for guests, which on a rotational basis needs to be eaten because the guests haven't had it. And you can bang that into the crew section. Makes it a bit easier, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, it's not, you know, it depends, I guess, which program you are. Like, if it's private, it's different. If it's charter, you know, you kind of, there isn't a lot left over.
Yeah, yeah.
But the crew have to eat well. They have high expectations as well.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like
and more dietary requirements than the guests quite often.
Yeah. So if you've got 30 crew, 33 crew, or you know, 40 crew, whatever it is, out of those is lots of dietary requirements. You know, some people are allergic to things, and so you have to have stuff. So you have to have what you need for them.
Yeah, you have to have very good selection. You've got vegans on, you've got people gluten-free, you've got all sorts of stuff. And they're usually, you know, it's usually one. So it's a completely different meal for that person. But in a large vessel with lots of crew, you're doing lots of choices, I would presume.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's kind of like a buffet, is it, at lunch and dinner?
Yeah.
So you could do some vegan, some gluten-free, and then everybody can have a bit, can't they?
Yeah, well, it doesn't have to be
solely for that one person.
For the vegan, it's there's a salad bar of 5-6 salads, and there's some protein, and then you know, for a vegan, and then your normal proteins, 3 other proteins or whatever, starches.
So as a yacht chef, tell me, we sort of digressed as we were talking, which is always going to happen on these things, but back to the point, what can a chef do to save himself time if he's a sole chef? On a yacht, he's on a 30, 40, 50 metre. On sole chef, he's got charter clients regularly, boss trips. He's got maybe 10 crew, 6 to 10 crew. What corners can they cut that you would say are legitimate corners to cut, and what corners are not worth cutting that you've tried over the years and gone, not worth it because it just comes back to fucking haunt you?
Yeah, I think like get all your butchery done at the butcher's. You know, if you want it diced,
Get it diced
in the quantities that you use for the amount of crew you have. So if you've got 10 crew and you'd use
2 kilos,
3 kilos,
get a bag of that.
So if you do, one bag does the amount you need. Get all your fishmongering done. You know, filleted, clean. Get your stuff cleaned. You just need to ask.
Well, it should be. If it's filleted, it should be. I mean, any fish that comes to a boat from a provisioner should be cleaned.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it on my list to go, can I have whole sea bass gutted and cleaned?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't need to write that. I would never send it not.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
But I think like things like mussels and stuff like that.
so they need to be debearded.
Like
if
you're doing mussels or clams or something like that, you know, get clean. Like I've had stuff turned up with rope hanging off them and, you know, full of barnacles and stuff like that.
It's a bad Tuesday for us, Dave.
Yeah.
It's a bad Tuesday for us.
So you don't want to be pissing around with, you know,
plastic Evian bottles hanging off the side of a bag of mussels.
That kind of stuff. But if you write it clearly how you want it to come, and then just have it also, then it's just cooking. You're not doing butchery or you're not doing fishmongering. And then you can also get the bones sent to you if you need to make
separately
sauces.
sous vide, so they're ready to use when you need them.
Yeah. So get the people to do the work, that kind of work.
Do you believe that making your own stock on board is something that you should be doing these days? Or do you think that there are good quality stocks made that you can use on a smaller vessel, especially, that really, you know?
Yeah, I think, well, on a smaller vessel, you're
trying to make sure that we're still live. There we go. Yeah.
Yeah, on a smaller vessel, you're tight for space quite often, and time if you're just a sole chef.
Yeah.
So, what was the question?
Stock. Do you think it's okay to buy frozen, made, good quality stock and have a kilo of that in the freezer?
Yeah.
Opposed to doing your own stocks.
Yeah. So that's the thing. If you're on a sole chef on a small galley, you've got a big pot boiling away for hours with stuff in it and that you've got to get rid of, and all that you can get somebody who's done that.
Yeah.
You know,
a good quality one.
Yeah.
And what about things like muffins?
Like a muffin mix or a mixture of muffins?
Well, that's exactly. This is exactly what we need to talk about.
Yeah.
So years ago, I think I got an email from a boat, and it said we need 24.
From Matt.
It was Matt.
Yeah.
He knows who he is. We don't need to give his surname. Yeah. He knows who he is. He'd be listening to this going, you fucking bastards. So I'm running around like a lunatic, middle of fucking July. I get an email through from the vessel, from Matt. It was your Sue, wasn't he?
Hi, Matt.
All right, Matt, how you doing? This is not going to be good for you, okay? Because we're together, so we're ganging up. And it says 24 muffin mixture.
Yeah.
That's what it said. And I was like, okay, weird, because that's not something you would usually order.
Yeah.
But I'm here to do what
I
I'm
would
told.
never do that.
No. So I'm immediately judging. In the back of my mind, going, unfucking believable. Do you know what I mean? Because we do. You can't help it. And it's not that I don't understand. Yeah. It's just that in a busy Tuesday in the middle of July, I'm like, you lazy fuck. But in reality, it is a reality of the job, isn't it? You've got 24 guests on and you've got 25 crew, and somebody comes it's just constant. I can't even imagine what it's like. So anyway, I get this email, a whole list of stuff. 24 muffin mixture, no problem. Muffin mixture, packs of muffin mixture, because it says muffin mixture. So gone, bang, lovely. Put them in the trolley, sorted it out. It's gone to the boat. After delivery, breath of fresh air. It's got done on the same day. I'm very proud of myself, to be honest with you. The early days of Riviera Gourmet, very proud of myself. I remember looking in the little rear view mirror and went, I'm proud of you today, Damian. I'm proud of you. Next thing the phone rings and it's you, and I'm like, fuck. I see the name and I go, I've just done the delivery. It's what's happened now. Do you know what I mean? And you said to me, what the fuck am I supposed to do with 24 boxes of muffin mixture? And I was like, quite taken aback. I was like, first few years of the business is like, this is like my lifeblood. I need to get this shit right. This is serious, because if this guy tells everybody I'm a fucking idiot, I'm an idiot. So I remember panicking and going, I've got the list out. I'm going through it. I'm thinking, what have I done? What have I done? And I look at that and I'm like, no, it definitely says that. You go, it can't do. Why would we order that? I go, I know, but I'm not here to judge. And you're like, Damian, it's crazy. I'm like, I know it's crazy, but it fucking says it. And then you like, Matt, this tone of voice, you were like, I know what's happened. That was your tone of voice, and you were like, Matt, what did you write in that email? And he was like, what? And he could hear him panicking. And he's like, I don't think he'd been in the industry long, had he? And he's sort of like, no, head chef's not happy. And he reads it out to you, and I can't remember what you said to him. It's something like, I won't even repeat it. I don't think it could be said on air. It's hilarious. And he's like, oh, no. And I'm like, shit. And you're like, no, I need muffins, actual muffins, and a mixture of them. I want 24 muffins. I want them to be like different flavours, and I want them made like fresh from the bakery, beautiful. I was like, okay. I'll never do that again. I'll never do it again. And this has been a joke between the three of us for years, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been
10
a few,
years.
Haven't it?
It must be 8-10 years this has been going on. It's hilarious. And every time anybody here, when I see an order, and I go, you better text them and fucking check that.
Well, that's how you learn, isn't it?
It's experience, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's not just muffin mixture. You can phrase food in different ways that it means two so totally separate things, and that's a good example. Muffin mixture, a mixture of different flavoured muffins, or well, that's it, isn't it?
A mixture of muffins,
or
muffin mixture.
A muffin mixture. They're two separate things. I always remember when I first travelled to America when I was a kid, and there was a French girl living in the apartment block where there was quite a lot of travellers there living in this place for the summer in Ocean City in America. And there was a French girl there, and I'd never really spent any time with French people. And as I walked into the lounge, she was chewing on something. I went, you chewing gum? She went, what? I said, are you chewing gum? And she was looking at me, she went, are you a lunatic? I was like, no, what are you chewing gum? She thought I was literally saying, are you a piece of chewing gum?
Yeah.
And that was my first. I realised that communication's a nightmare.
Yeah. Or important.
And important at the same time.
Yeah.
And everything can be seen in a different way by different people, depending how your brain works on at any particular moment as well. I mean, you can change as you get older. Now, guys in here, we see a list I gave you. I asked them to check that, and they go, why? I go, it's madness. Somebody the other day asked for smoked hot paprika. I went, not a chance. And they were, what? I went, I've been doing this a long time. Nobody's ever asked for hot. They just want smoked. Why they've written hot, I don't know, but I need to text them and find out. And I text them, and on the whole list of 100 items, it was the only item they'd got wrong. And they went, no, I don't want hot. And they'd written hot.
Yeah, yeah.
It happens. And that's what you get used to after a while. Situations like the muffin is a time when you look back and you go, yeah, I know what's reasonable and what's not reasonable anymore. And if somebody says on a 30 metre, I need 1,800 ml glass bottles of Voss, I know they've put an extra zero.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't just fucking deliver it and go, not my problem, mate.
Yeah.
I know it's 80.
You've done that to me before, actually.
He looked shocked.
Do you really want 2,000 cabbages?
Yeah. Yeah. And I had a guy ask me for 100 grams of saffron.
Yeah.
I said to him, mate, that's unless the madame is having 10 grams in the bath to get, nice. I don't know what's going on. I mean, I don't judge. Someone says 100 avocado, we're having a guacamole party, no problem. But you have to ask, don't you?
Yeah, yeah. Well, if you've got the insight to get to go, oh, that doesn't sound right.
Yes,
I'll check it.
That's exactly.
Because I've met chefs that have had deliveries come of a massive amount of something that they only wanted
one.
Yeah,
they put 10 down, but it's a big difference.
Yeah, no, but I mean, it's a stupid quantity.
Yeah.
But obviously the supplier sees a point of sale. Oh,
yeah. Well, and it's difficult as you're growing a business as well. You're employing more and more people, and you're trying to train them. But I've got 15 years experience of provisioning. Before that, I was doing food provisioning for hotels and chalets in the Alps. It's not like it was my first day when I was yachting. But when I was yachting, I didn't have any concept when I first started, and I learned a lot the hard way, like delivering to a boat, happily driving back, only to get a phone call and the chef said, I haven't got any more frozen, because I've got a separate freezer section in the van. I've got delivery, opened the back, seen everything, delivered it. On an order I did, with frozen stuff I put in the freezer of the van. It's not like somebody else did it. I did it. I've driven off and forgotten to open the freezer. So the rule is now, you get to a delivery, you open the freezer, you give them the freezer stuff first, because it's a small section.
Yeah.
When that's done, you don't miss the main bulk of it, but you can miss the freezer section if it's got one bag of prawns in it.
Yeah, yeah.
So you have to do whatever makes your life easier.
Yeah.
And that's the same if you're a yacht chef. Everything you do, I think most of the chefs I know use common sense and logic for everything they do. You don't need to be MIT graduate or a fucking brain surgeon to be a chef on a yacht. You need logic and common sense, and quite often high level.
Yeah.
You need to be able to get it like that. Like the film Limitless.
Yeah.
You need to be like that because you need to see every angle. From guest, from crew, from provisioner, from invoicing, from captain, a purser's at you. You've got stewardess saying, I need it this way. You wake up early in the morning, you've got to make sure you put the vinegar in, boil the water, put some vinegar in, ready. Somebody wants to poached egg, I'm rocking and rolling.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You learn all these things as you go, don't you? And that's something that's very difficult to teach a new person who's never worked in this environment or with food.
Yeah, exactly.
Hard.
Yeah, well, that's it. Just being ready on all areas. Just have every scenario covered. Yeah, and then your life's easier.
How is it on vessels? Because I hear from both sides, the stews and from the chefs sometimes can butt heads a little bit. I've noticed.
Maybe
on some vessels.
In service,
yes,
I guess.
So how what is the best way to make sure? Because I think the head chef and the chief stew have to be like this.
Yeah, it's just communication. If you communicate in the beginning, then you avoid any miscommunication later when it's a more tense time. Yeah, you can communicate in the calm. Yeah, and then be ready.
Yeah, and I think it's something that a lot of people expect the interior crew to know the food, but they don't necessarily know everything about the food, do they?
That's an issue with many chefs. I've seen it on social media that I think on my page as well, that I've seen people voice an opinion about that, where in that department they don't always need to have training.
Yeah.
You know, whereas a chef, I think you need to be trained and have qualifications and in every other department on the boat, you know, the deckhands need qualifications and training, you know, up to the officers and the engineering department.
Do the stews on board, stews male, female, do they have to have a level 2 health and safety, so food health and hygiene?
I think you do now if you handle if you cut a lemon.
But if you're serving, do you need it?
Not if you're serving.
But you should do.
But
I think everybody on a yacht should have one.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to say because I don't have a massive opinion about, you know, people, because people that I've met, very few have gone to hospitality training and stuff like that. They've been something before, you know, and they've got into yachting, and become a stew, and then worked their way up. And it's interesting why. I find it interesting they don't need to have a qualification, or they've overlooked it. You get STCW and
ENGs and stuff. Well, if you're a stew new to the industry and you're like, well, what qualification is? Like you said, STCW 95, ENG1 health.
Yeah, and a level 2 food hygiene thing.
Maybe we'd like, but in reality, that's it, isn't it?
Yeah, and then if you're private or you're charter, you know, those are two different things.
But it's not their fault.
No, it's not.
Because there's no qualification. You can go, well, that's something I can work towards so I can get that job. It's literally service. It's understanding high end. It's understanding guests.
Well, if you started as a stew, then you get training in the job. But it's not like a recognised like a hospitality course or
But it's even for pursers.
Yeah.
I know a lot of, oh dear, dig my own grave here, but I run a company. I have to have my shit together with figures and numbers. If you are a purser on a large vessel, we're talking tens of millions a year going through the accounts. You theoretically know there's accountants, but I'm talking about on a daily basis, receipt collection, bookkeeping skill, basic bookkeeping skills, but it's a lot of money. If you don't have some kind of training in that, that's hard.
Well, it's also a lot of responsibility.
A lot. If things go pear-shaped with that, it can go down the drain very quickly, can't it? I think purser is one of those jobs that a lot of people undervalue slightly, you know?
Yeah.
Because the skill set you need is huge. An understanding of every single person in every single department, first of all.
Yeah. But it's another point. By having qualifications doesn't make you... good at your job.
It's so true, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like, you know, I've met loads of fantastic chief stews, and you know they do a good job. They just learnt it in the field, and stuff. And I guess there's a few chefs that are self-trained as well. Yeah. But nowadays you see it a lot. It's called for a lot more.
Yeah.
But the industry's growing like that as well.
It's a new industry. It's a young industry. And so all of these things are gradually changing very slowly as problems arise and people realise it can't carry on like that, I think.
Yeah, like we were talking about, like the hours of rest and stuff like that. That's all, you know, coming in. And
so how do you even solve that? On a charter vessel, you've only got room for so many crew. And all of a sudden you're telling a sole chef that he can only work a 12-hour day in 2 split shifts.
Yeah.
Would you turn? Yes, Mr. Johnson, you cannot have a bacon sandwich. Well, it's 3 in the afternoon. Chef's asleep. It'd be like a fucking French cafe. You'd be like, you walk in at 3. They go, oh, chef's gone. He'll be back at 7. You're like, what?
Well, that's what happens everywhere else. Yeah. But on yachting, it's not.
It can't be like that.
It's always started like that. You know, from way back. That's the level of service you're providing before there was any hours of rest or anything like that. And now, what do? Say no? You know, you can't, and then you don't have the beds to get them.
So do you think a solution is to have more people on the yacht who can do simple things like cook a burger, do a bacon sandwich, make a quick salad, which gives the chef a little bit of time to go and have a sleep and take some rest?
Some stews do that. Like, you know, if they ask for a toasted sandwich or something, then the girls can do it.
Yeah.
But if you have one girl up at night, and they all come back like that asking for food. Then they want cocktails and stuff.
You're
So
screwed, aren't you?
she's on her own. She can't be, and then she's not going to be as fast as a chef is. So, she's suddenly overwhelmed with cocktails, and they're just throwing orders at you, and then it's like, and then I want a complicated toasty.
A complicated toasty.
Yeah, with not just a toasty. They want it with 5 multi-grain seeds in it, and one side white. With 2 crusts on it. And
4 cheese, and they all have to complement each other. None of that goats.
And it's something quick and simple. Like the toasties tended to completely occupied her mind. And they just got all these.
And you've got people asking for drink. I've always found that one of the things that there's this pandemic on yachts that I've heard about. It's called fresh coconuts. The white ones.
Yeah.
When you have a few in the fridge, and one of the guests says, "I'm interested in a coconut water," or he doesn't even do that. One of the stewardesses accidentally mentions they've got some. And the next thing you know, it's fucking Coconut City. Everybody wants one, and all you're doing in the galley is smashing these things, put a hole in them, sending them out, and you're on the phone to the Bruges and I have 40 more and I need them now. And it's like, as soon as one person sees something, and it could be a cocktail or a sandwich, you could be in the galley, you've made a beautiful sandwich for the principal because he said, really fancy a toasty, nice toast, do something cool. You've done it, thinking principal, important, get the shit together, we want a tip. So you've done that. And the next thing, 7 more come through, don't they? And then there's coconut waters, and you're running out of that, and you've got no bread left. You're like panic stations. I can imagine it being pretty weird when that happens.
Yeah. There's so many things like that. The other one is it's just before mealtime. And a guest asks for something, and you do it.
Like a meal. Hot food.
And you do
dinner's
it.
in 10.
Yeah, exactly. and you do it, and then they're sitting on the after deck, and then somebody comes up and goes, "Oh, where'd you get that?" And then and then they'll want one, and then 3 more people walk up, and then they want that, and then it's gone dinner time, and they're eating,
and they're not even eating dinner. And you've done this beautiful meal, and now it's delayed 30 minutes, but there's 3 people who are eating that because they didn't have the salad.
And
and you've got carnage on your hands, haven't you?
So it's things like that you just go,
It must be fun though. Those days when that's happening.
Fun. That's an interesting word.
but it's kind of because you never know what's going. The thing is, there's so many jobs that people do, and I see the look on their face some days in places I go, and they look like they just want to punch themselves in the head. There's no enthusiasm for what they do, and I think if you have no enthusiasm for what you do, change. This life is too short to not enjoy what you do. I've spoken to you 1,000 times on the phone. You love what you do. It doesn't mean you don't get pissed off with it at times. We all do. But you've got a real passion for it. You love the quality of the food. You love creating great stuff. You put pictures out there all the time showing you're proud of what you do. And I think you need to be, if you're a chef especially, you need to be proud. If you're a stewardess, you need to be proud of what you do. And social media has allowed people to go, I'm proud of myself, and showcase their shit. And I think it's fantastic. You started a Facebook group. How long ago was that?
Rotational Super Yacht Chef.
There you go.
So I started.
Plug it.
Yeah. So I started that more than a decade ago. But I started that for...
Out of frustration?
Promoting rotation for chefs, because there wasn't much around then.
So all the owners out there are going, why have I got 2 chefs? It's your fault.
Well, I made a massive push for it, and tried to get it out there, and I think it's helped a lot
massively.
And so that you see a way more rotation around, and then that was my idea.
Happy chefs
to go, and then you don't get pissed off,
and they stay on their boat 3, 4, 5 years, because they've got 2 months on, 2 months off. They've got a life, because it's hard, and it works. It does work.
So it's been a long time coming, but it's funny. So I started that for that purpose, and then the amount of shit you get off people, trolls just going for your hammering, and it just makes me laugh.
So so tell us a bit about that, because do you moderate it much?
I don't spend a lot of time on it. I mean, I clean it up because it's got 23,000 members, which isn't massive in...
It's big in yachting for chefs. It's huge. There's not 23,000 in the industry.
But there's captains on there and provisioners and recruiters and
Voyeurs.
stuff like that. But
Food voyeurs.
yeah,
And people who just like to stir shit.
yeah. But I just started up 4 chefs for the, community of yacht chefs, and to bring good stuff for us.
Yeah.
And to,
Help people communicate.
Yeah, and I've seen like somebody's in the Caribbean and they'd stuck down Tobago Keys without anything, because, as you know, I don't know, there's nothing down there.
Yeah.
And then people read something and they go, "Oh, we're coming down there. We can bring you something when we come down in a couple of days or whatever." Or, "Where can I get this? Where can I get that?" And just a helpful.
So sometimes when you're sitting at home at night on rotation, you go, "Let's have a look." And do you read some shit on there and go, "Holy shit, I've been busy the last couple of weeks. I didn't realise that was going on."
Well, no, one thing was, it's just get spam on it or porn. There's some Filipino guy, I think, just slamming with porn. I think I was on charter.
You're joking me?
I was
Just putting pictures.
Yeah, and I was on charter for a couple of weeks and didn't look at it, and I opened up and it's just like, Jesus Christ. And then, so I like delete like 1,000 people, every couple of days. I delete like 1,000 people like that want to post stuff. And now they've made a thing where you can review their stuff before they post
but then that means all you do is sit there reviewing shit.
Yeah, and then deleting them.
Yeah.
And so now I can delete them by the 1,000, delete them all.
Oh, really?
But there may be some good people in there.
You just don't know. It's a very difficult thing. I mean, do you think Facebook... I think groups like that are really helpful. Do you think that there's other platforms which will change, which will make it easier, or...
Oh, probably. If this, somebody's more vested in it. Like, I'm a working chef, so,
you
I'm
haven't got
busy.
time. Yeah.
Busy a lot. So, but when I started a decade ago, there wasn't many groups around.
Yeah.
I think now there's tons. There's now, people still go back to it as much as they,
I think it's busy.
give it a load of shit, and there's, keyboard warriors on there and stuff like that. But I think initially it served its purpose. It's, helped rotation a lot for chefs.
Yeah.
And people can still communicate, where can I get this and that. And
I think it's great for that, because if chefs could go all over the world these days, probably more so now than ever before, they're in different destinations.
yeah.
Before, you'd have gone on rotation on Super Yacht Chefs 8 years ago, and you just said, "I'm in Peru," and you'd have got maybe a response going, "Poor bastard." Now you get 27 chefs going, "Oh yeah," and you go to this place and speak to Susie, and if you go around to this gaff, the guy's got a load of cabbages in his garden out the back, and it's continuous, because people are travelling more with yachts to different places. So actually, I think it's extremely relevant and helpful for a lot of chefs. Yes, sometimes there's a bit of porn on there, but let's be fair, that's not something chefs aren't used to.
Some people like that. I
Some
guess.
people are into that. That's fine. As you, 40 years on vessels, is there a time when you have to go, "I'm done with that. I can't do that
People
anymore"?
ask me that all the time.
Well, that's what I'm interested in, because
yeah.
rotation is exactly why a chef can continue.
Yeah.
I think mentally you'd have a breakdown if you didn't.
Yeah.
But you've been doing it a long time. So how long can it go, do you think, before you go, "Nah"?
When the phone stops ringing.
Ah, really?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I enjoy it. And I get a lot out of it, and I've always had good jobs, and what's not to like?
Yeah.
You know.
And travel.
Yeah.
Always new places to go to,
Yeah,
new
and
people
catch
to meet.
up, and I happen to be here now, and then I'm off to Barca in a couple of days, or tomorrow actually.
And you busy summer ahead?
Yeah. And I think I've got some time off in the summer as well.
Wow, that's nice.
Which is rare for a chef.
Yeah.
To have,
But rotation allows that.
yeah.
I mean, look, I've said it to someone the other day. I said, where do you go on holiday in the summer? What are you talking about? No.
I was asked that in a job interview, phone interview. Captain asked me, "So, which restaurants do you eat in on the coast? From here down to Italy?" And I was like, "I'm in the galley pretty much all the time in the summer." So
If a restaurant's not open at 6, I ain't there in the summer.
Yeah.
And they all open at 7, so don't go out much. You'll
Yeah.
go, "Have you been to this restaurant? I've never even heard of it."
Yeah.
I didn't even realise restaurants were open in the south of France, because all I do is deal with continuously one order after another. But as a yacht chef, in the old days, you wouldn't know the area you were in very well, because you just would be on a yacht, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you're just working. Like, especially back in the day,
Yeah.
that's full summer. It's like,
How's the yacht crew over the years, right? How have they changed?
Changed massively.
The mentality,
with the food. I think, 40 years ago, like lunch, for example, would be a quiche and a salad.
Yeah.
There'd be no, and that's directions from the captain.
Yeah.
Quiche and a salad.
If you put out a quiche and a salad now on your yacht for lunch,
yeah,
what would happen?
They'd say, what time's lunch?
Right, that's a snack.
Yeah.
bit late for 11s, to be honest with you, Chef Dave.
Yeah,
but I'll eat it whilst you're finishing lunch.
Yeah, but that was great for the budget, like the quiche and a salad, and they'd be like, fried it up and you get a slice of quiche and that. But now it's, there's all these diets, and which is good because it's, education, and social media has brought on that. People are aware now of what they're eating and what it does, and then they read all these things or check on Instagram. There's posts about food and what's good for you, what's bad for you, or controlling your diet more, which is a difficult thing in large sort of like commercial operations where that's lunch, But now it's a little more personalised for crew.
You're getting special requests from crew.
Well, just more dietary requirements for health, like if they're gluten-free or vegan or.
And with a boat with 40 crew on, how often are you doing birthdays?
Ranges. Sometimes there's 7 or 10 in a month. And then other months there's one. But
so you're baking cakes.
Yeah.
Bit of a party.
Yeah.
But they're still working.
Yeah.
So it's like, hope you enjoyed your cake. Get back to it.
Well, that's a classic birthday on a boat.
It's a 10-minute birthday.
Yeah. Or if you're not working, then everyone goes out.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's lots of things now that there didn't used to be.
So has social media caused issues, or would you say as a whole? Look, I was talking to someone about mental health the other day. Yeah. This has been a massive thing. When you first started on boats, if you said you're having a hard time, someone would have gone, well, fuck off then. You'd have gone,
those are the exact words they would have used.
Not interested. Get your shit together, mate.
Yeah.
What, your mum fell over at home and broke her ankle? Did you break your ankle? Well, no. Well, I don't see why it's involving me then.
Yeah.
Is that the kind of thing that happened?
Yeah. Well,
now it's like, have a sit down. Do you want a cup of tea?
Yeah.
Let's get through this together.
Yeah.
It's a bit more mollycoddling society because people are affected by these things. Obviously, there's real mental health, and there's bullshit mental health.
Well, the mental health didn't used to exist in probably the first half of my career, more than that. But it's recent. Mental health has become
huge.
Aware now. There's even circulars that management, pass around that
about it.
Yeah, that they put up on crew notice boards and stuff.
What kind of things, though?
Well, just,
be careful. Barry's having a hard time.
Classic sort of picture of a person in distress on
really?
The thing, and then it's like a step guide to if you're feeling you've got mental health issues, who to approach.
Do you think, in many cases, and this is very judgmental, do you think in many cases it is actual mental health issues, or do you think because everybody's told it could be, it kind of becomes a mental health issue rather than it being a legitimate one?
I do. Well, I think
not always. I'm talking about. There seems to be so much of it.
Well, it's been identified. Like mental health wasn't identified sort of in the workplace,
right?
Really. So now they've put a label on it, and then
everybody's got it,
and you can decide. Well, maybe everybody
like
does.
COVID, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, maybe everybody does have it at some point.
If nobody had said anything, if the Chinese had not said anything about anybody being sick, which they tried to do for a while, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe we'd have all just gone, bit of a cough.
Yeah.
Do we need to close everything? Nah, don't bother, just a bit of a cough.
Well, no one had anything else, did they? They had
Nobody got anything else. No.
Nobody died of anything else, and no one,
nobody fell over.
No more sore throats, no more flu.
Yeah.
Just COVID.
Yeah.
Just got COVID.
Yeah.
But I think,
I'm joking. I'm taking the piss.
Yeah,
but you have to take the piss sometimes because, I hear it all. I mean, look, even in this business, there's more people having days off now by a factor of 10.
What, for mental health?
No, just days off.
Days off.
From 5 years ago. It's a factor of 10. It's incredible the amount of days off people have. And I'm not criticising because they're going to hear this. I'm just saying I'm surprised. it's amazing how people go, oh, I can't come in Tuesday, I'm sick. But Wednesday, they're fine.
Yeah.
It's very quick illness, I've always found. And I worked in the Alps for years. If somebody was ill, they were fucking ill.
Yeah.
3-4 days in bed. You know, you go and see them, they look like they're about to die. You go back, get the doctor in.
Yeah.
Phil's really ill.
Yeah,
You know what I
that's the
mean?
thing with chefing. Like, where, back in the early days when there's one chef, sole chef, you felt like absolute shit. So
Yeah.
you just go
Crack on.
there's no one else to do it. So
And it's
just
almost,
that mentality.
I almost feel a bit like, well, my father used to go, in my day, we were a lot stronger than you
Yeah.
kids. And I'm like, now I'm going, I feel like these roles of, gradually, and the music's too loud and I can't really see shit. And the phone, I'm looking in the morning going, what the fuck is that? Life is changing. And I think maybe the problem here is possibly me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing. If you
And I'm aware of that.
yeah, if you've come into, well, I mean, it's just anything.
Yeah.
Like with tech, like if you wake up in the morning and you've
What's tech?
got a few phones, you've got
Yeah.
Netflix,
Yeah.
things like that. Back in the day, there wasn't anything.
I was
So-
walking through Carrefour the other day, and I wasn't surprised, may I add, but I was a bit like, nah, it's not right. Somebody's pulling one of those trans pallet. I don't even know what they're called in the UK. You know the things you pull a pallet around on? You give it a bit of one of them
Oh,
and you
yeah,
pull
yeah.
it. Called a trans pallet in France. I don't know what it's called in the UK or English.
Is that like they identify as a trans palette?
I don't know. No, okay, now we're going down now we're getting to a place where YouTube are going to remove us from the internet. It's called a trans pallet. You pump it up and you pull a
Yeah.
pallet. Takes a ton or a ton and a half. Anyway, the girl is pulling it through the centre of the supermarket in the middle of the day when the place is packed on her phone, and she's got one
With a
hand on
palette on it.
She's got a full pallet on it. And
Is
she's
it motorised?
No, she's just pulling it
Yeah.
straight through the shop, and she's on her phone like this. And I thought to myself, at what point did that happen where that's acceptable? Because you know what, that health and safety wise would love that shit. In
Yeah,
the UK,
yeah.
the whole fucking place would be closed down.
Yeah.
In America, you'd be sued for $1 million if she took someone's arm off. But I'm just watching this go by, and I'm just thinking to myself, where's the manager? Where's the manager going?
He's on his mobile phone in the office watching Netflix.
I'm literally I'm standing there going, I can't believe that's happening. And
Yeah.
they're just with one hand doing it whilst they're pulling it, and they're not looking at the people, not looking at anything. And I'm just thinking, that's wrong, isn't it? Is that wrong? Is this happening on boats? A crew allowed their phone in their pocket when there's guests on board?
I've heard some boats have no phone policies, but
In
that's
guest
a
areas?
massive thing with that, because all the crew are on WhatsApp groups, for whatever, if it's the late night people group or the chef stewardess group, chef service group. So they have to have that. So I've heard in the beginning it was like no phones, on silent and stuff, and then they can't get hold of anyone.
Yeah.
So now it's.
But in the old days, you didn't have phones. So if
Yeah.
you needed Sally, who's in the dining room,
yeah.
and the food was ready, you'd ring a fucking bell. And she'd go, the bell means food's ready. I'll wait to whiz down and crack and get that.
Yeah.
No? Isn't that what would happen?
Yeah.
But now, if Sally doesn't get a WhatsApp message, and a nice one saying, hi Sally, Chef David here. Just wanted to inform you, Mr. Johnson's soup is ready.
How's your mental health?
Have a lovely day. If you ever need anything, please don't hesitate to ask. That's your fucking WhatsApp message now, isn't it?
Yeah,
And she
yeah.
gets it out. He's sitting there going, is my soup ready? She goes, hold on, I've got a message. I'll be back. Is that how it's working these days? I mean, do guests see crew on the phone? Because if I spent $500,000 on a yacht charter and I see the crew doing this on their phone, I'm going to go bollocks.
No, but the guests,
Because I'm a difficult person in general.
the guests and the crew are on WhatsApp groups together.
Ah.
So there'll be the principal, the chief stew, captain, purser,
right.
or whatever. And it's
Or
like,
the PA.
Yeah, there's a group, and then it'll be book so and so.
And so
for
the
8 o'clock.
principal will say, we fancy going to Nobu tonight. Given Nobu a right kick today, aren't they? Going to be packed in a couple of weeks. So they could say that on there, and then the purser or whoever's dealing with it will go, right, I'll get that booked.
Yeah, so there's a group on there, so they're sure to reach, a head of department.
Yeah.
That's and then there'll be another group for.
Which you get your food groups
Yeah, so
on the boat, so the principal could be on it and say,
I'll have a galley
bake a
group.
sandwich.
I'll have a galley group with the sous chef, the
galley
crew
team,
chef. Yeah,
chief stew.
Yeah, or maybe you'll have one just for the galley group.
Oh right, okay.
You know.
So you can moan about everyone else.
Yeah. So say, Jesus. And then,
What do you
and then emojis and fucking memes and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And then
God forbid anybody got hold of your phone.
Yeah, that happened once actually. That was funny. Well, not, yeah.
What happened?
That's a story for another time.
Oh, okay. Well, we're not in here.
So there'll be stew interior group so that they can communicate going on, and then there'll be these groups with the guests on. You know, and it might be a bunch of guests going diving or something, so that they'll put a WhatsApp.
It's a great way to communicate these things. It's perfect.
So instead of contacting everyone, they'll just be in that group diving. You know, boat leaves at 6.
Yeah.
You know, 2-hour dive, give some information about the dive.
Yeah, yeah.
And they can reply on staying in bed, whatever. You know,
Not going on a dive.
Yeah,
Who
so
said we're going diving?
Yeah. So
if I want to go and diving, I'd be having a submarine, my friend. Not getting wet.
Yeah. So the thing is, everybody's on groups. So the guests, when they see it, it's not, you know, they're all in the phones.
You just open my eyes to a whole new world. Obviously, we have all sorts of groups here.
Yeah, well,
So
we're on a group.
We have a group for boats, yeah. For each boat, we have a group, and all the management are on it, which means everybody can see what's going on.
Yeah.
But then we have a management group. We have summer 2023. We have a shopping group, an invoicing group, private little groups between don't want Sally on this group. You know, all sorts of different groups go around. There's one that says, isn't Damian being a complete wanker today group?
Yeah.
I say, do it.
Yeah.
Because you need to get it out.
Yeah.
Because some days, when Dave calls, I'm going to be fucking hard to work with. Get used to it. So you need that group here. I've always joked about it, but I'm absolutely sure there is one.
Yeah.
I'll find out. Somebody one day will go, you want to have a look?
Yeah.
I mean, no, don't. It's like comments on this video on YouTube. I'm not looking.
Yeah. What a load of shit talk.
What? Who's this fucking lunatic? But no, look, WhatsApp groups are fantastic for most businesses.
Yeah. But there's a flip side to that, where if you're in the galley and you've got your hands in something, and then the fucking phone's pinging every 5 minutes, and it's like, just wash your hands, pick up the phone, and it's like
new gloves,
pointless fucking message.
I mean, I like it because it means that there's a lot more nitrile gloves being used. So making more sales.
Yeah, there's upsides to everything, isn't there?
Yeah, and never criticise that.
Yeah, but so it's changed a lot. You know, the way industry. That's initially what we were saying. It's changed.
Yeah.
So much from a time when there was no phones, no TV.
Is it in reality a good or bad thing, do you think? In this, you've been in the industry since there wasn't even the internet, Grandad. So before there was electricity, what was it like?
Well, it was fucking steam, wasn't it?
So no, I mean, you've done both. Most people on yachts these days have not lived in both of those worlds.
Yeah.
And so what would you say worked better? Do you think it was more relaxed and easier, more fun before all of this constant attention from everybody? Or do you think now it's much easier to do your job? Obviously rotation, forget the rotation thing, because that's a massive benefit. Take that out of the equation. You're a sole chef and there's no rotation. You do a hard summer. Do you think this WhatsApp and tech, Googling a recipe, getting it instantly, chat GTPing, what the fuck is this, whatever it may be, is a benefit in the long run? Or do you just think it means that it's harder to do your job because people expect more?
I think it's more it's different, but it's fun. You know, like back in the old days it was fun, but you had to be entertained in different ways.
Yeah.
But then there's different age time as well, so I think you created the entertainment in your lives, which yachting then you
like
knew
cards.
Everybody. Yeah. Not just any cards. But you knew everybody in the industry, so the social life was much more ashore, and there's big efforts into going to meet other crew and stuff, and mixing with crew, where now it's people are entertained differently.
Yeah.
They get entertainment. So the young people coming in, they don't need to go to bars and do all that stuff. Yeah, that's
what someone else said to me yesterday. They used to network for jobs in a pub, where now that's not something that happens as much.
Do it while you're working. In your job, you can be having your job interview.
Yeah, absolutely.
Zoom
from anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
I had somebody recently talking about crew recruitment, and they said, quite often now, it's definitely changed. People go, I'm currently in South Africa, but if a job does come up, I'm willing to travel.
Yeah, it might be helpful. Right?
Well, yeah, you're going to fucking need to do that. What you're talking about, you're willing to. It's necessity, my friend. And you'd be on a boat. It moves. But it's quite a funny concept that somebody thinks they can get a job sitting at home in another continent, when in reality the only place to be at this time of year, if you're looking for work, is probably Palma, Antibes. Would you agree that, I mean, obviously not the States is a separate thing, but if you want a European med job, you would have been Palma or Antibes, haven't you?
I think that it's the old days. Like,
okay.
You need to walk the dock, and you needed to be around. You need to be able to go and interview on the boat. They wouldn't fly people. They
fly people in now. You're a well-known chef in the industry, so you would get flown in somewhere for an interview if need be.
Oh yeah,
wouldn't be a problem, would it?
Yeah,
it's normal.
So it's just normal.
Cargo, stick him in cargo.
Yeah, one of those cages.
Yeah, bag of nuts and stick him in a cage. You'd be fine. You'd be in Amsterdam in an hour and a half.
Yeah. Well, funnily enough, it's business. So that's yeah.
Oh, you get business for that.
Oh yeah.
So as an executive yacht chef, are flights included in packages? I mean, is it normal for that? I'm not asking you to tell me yours. I'm just saying, is it normal for a chef to be, if you live somewhere else, to be getting flights home when you're doing rotations? Is that included normally?
Yeah, for sure.
So flights included, would it be business or would it be economy?
It depends on the program. I think some people consider, that as an executive position.
That you'd go business.
Yeah.
But you've been around a while. You're going to get offered that because you that's kind of part of the course of somebody with the experience, I would presume. The more experience and knowledge you have, the higher the wage and the better the benefits.
Yeah, I guess, that's like
any job.
It has a value. Your experience has a value.
Yeah. So that's a good thing. Do you think, and it's something I ask every chef that comes in here, and it's a really difficult one that puts you in a very difficult position, but which is the most important position on a vessel?
There's only one answer to that, right? That's an interesting one because it's the owners who decide who's important to them and who's more important.
I've not had that answer before. That's a good one.
And what position? We're talking about qualifications earlier, and that these people that have these yachts and things, they want who they want.
Yeah.
And they consider people more important. So if they've got a chief stew that they work with and they've worked with on other boats and they trust them and they, put their trust in everything they do. So what they say is
golden.
Yeah, so it overrides any other position.
Really? Is it difficult for a captain if he's in a position where a chef or a chief stew is in more of a power position? Is that a really difficult thing for them to have to work in that environment?
I would imagine, because it upsets the balance.
Of course.
You have the captain.
I think that's impossible almost for a captain. I think you just got to go, okay, fine, no problem. I'll just crack on with my job.
Yeah,
but it can't be easy to do that as a captain.
It must be a challenge for sure, because he runs the boat, and that's how he has to.
Well, and he's responsible for the lives of everybody on it. He has to be top dog, really.
Yeah,
I mean, it has to.
Yeah, and if you're making a routine or something, and then somebody goes, "Oh, I'm not doing that."
Yeah,
and then it's like, well, that's what we do.
At what point do I lose all responsibility? And you start taking responsibility for the lives on the boat. If you want, by all means. Yeah, it's a hard one, isn't it?
Yeah, but I've seen it a few times in my career.
And unpleasant?
Well, it's not.
Never ends well?
Unpleasant. I mean, it can be equally as awkward for the for the crew member that's, like that. But I'm sure some people use it to their advantage. You can imagine.
Do you think the industry, as it matures, because it is gradually going that way, there's a lot of the things that have, I think, plagued the industry for years are disappearing. I don't even know if I can talk about that, can I, without getting into trouble? I don't know. But, yeah, I mean, there used to be this thing with fishmongers, for example, as an example. If you walk into port and you're a chef and you go into a fishmongers, they would say, "Oh, well, I'll give you 10% back in cash if you pay me. If you do it with me," so the chef would be like, but that's the food industry. There's no different anywhere else in the world. It's not just yachting. It's
and it
it's
probably happens with yards. If you bring
absolutely.
the boat here, we'll give you 10% in an envelope.
These are things that we know have been going on for years, but it's starting to change, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, for example, our business doesn't take cash.
Yeah.
I think last year we had one invoice, small invoice paid with cash.
Yeah.
That's it in the whole year. Gradually over the years, just disappears. People have got currency cards for charter, APA cards, things like that. A lot of credit cards being used for APAs now, mainly bank transfers, which I think helps everybody, makes it easier. Which means that businesses have less of an opportunity to possibly bend the rules, I would say. I know it still happens. Over your years, 40 years in the industry, you've seen probably huge changes in things like that, where it's now becoming a much more professional. That's just an example of something that's changed.
Yeah.
But it's becoming more professional across every aspect of the industry, from training courses. I mean, you didn't have to do an SCW 95 before, an ENG1. Now you have to do that. Ships, chefs to certificate is something which you have to have now if you're on a charter vessel with 10 crew or more. Is that right?
Yeah.
All of these regulations are coming in, more and more regulations constantly, and sometimes you wonder whether some of the regulations are a benefit or not to the industry. As in the 40 years you've been involved in it, would you say that the regulations have definitely improved things and made things better?
Yeah, I definitely think they have. You know, overall, the overall safety and awareness is much more than it used to be. Looking after crew, having there's even union type.
Really?
Nautilus. I don't know really if it's a union, but there's somebody on the crew side that can support you. There's the DPA that can support you. You hear some horror stories from back in the day where crew were treated bad, owed money, and they're just
dropped off in Sharm and left.
Yeah, make your own way home and stuff. And I think it's all become very professional, and there's help for crew as well. So I think it's got better.
Yeah. And what about something that I I see crazy stuff online, of course. The whole name and shame thing. You must have dealt with some of that on Rotational Super Yacht Chefs.
Yeah,
Facebook
I've seen it, and there's a specific group for that.
There is now, yeah.
Yeah.
Running rampant.
Yeah, yeah. But quite often I've looked at those kind of things on my group and thought, this is...
You don't get involved.
Yeah, it's not professional, and it's not... And then probably... I don't know how those people are in that situation in the first place, but there's two sides to a story.
Yeah.
So if you've only got one, then I'm not sure about it. I've worked with crew before that think they're owed something they're not.
Yeah.
and you get all sorts out there. So
there's all sorts of perspectives, isn't there?
Exactly.
And in a post that someone's right about another crew member, there's one perspective.
Yeah.
So it's a really tricky thing, isn't it? Even if they're completely right, it's still only one perspective.
Yeah.
It doesn't give you the full story.
Yeah. So I think those things are a waste of time, because if they're having to put it on a name and shame, I mean,
means they've already
if you're
lost.
on that level where if you're on another level where you're not, you wouldn't get yourself into that situation.
So what advice can you give to somebody who's on a yacht, having a hard time? Maybe they feel bullied.
Yeah, well, it's possible. I mean,
and they've had enough, and they don't know how to escape it. They know if they lose their job, they've lost their job, and they'll probably get a bad reputation.
Well, do you want the job?
So what do you do if you're in that scenario? If you're getting shit from people and it's completely undue,
just leave. Just leave, and
because there must be, and we talked about mental health, but this is part of it. This is why it's committed. You got crew. They're living together, eating together, drinking together, working together, sleeping in the same bloody bunk bed. Maybe they spend their entire time together. Maybe on a long season of 6 solid months with no break. Maybe a night in Monaco one night, and they're getting completely leathered.
Yeah, and suffer for 2 days.
And suffer for 2 days. But it's a difficult environment to be in. There's going to be clashes.
Yeah, but the thing is, I've heard this many, many times, is nobody's holding a gun to your head.
Yeah.
If you're somewhere you don't want to be, don't be there. Like if
you're choosing to be there.
Yeah, and you're going to suffer the pain and the torment, and you're going to let it go on for months, and then
Feel bitter about it.
yeah, and then
Animosity builds.
yeah, and then it's a big story about nothing.
Yeah.
When I've heard it so many times. You know, no one's holding when I've been on.
Do you agree with that phrase?
Yeah, I mean, obviously everybody has different circumstances. If you're in some debt or something, you can't leave, or you know, you've got a situation where if you're taking care of someone, you're not in a position to leave.
Yeah.
But you stay there and then you get bullied. You know, then what can you do about it?
Yeah.
But I think the best thing to do is, if you are in that situation, what point's there being there? Like,
Yes, it's a difficult thing. I mean,
and the longer it goes on for, better find something else.
Yeah.
Maybe it's easier said than done.
yeah, I think it's very. When you're in the scenario, when you're in the position and it's happening,
Yeah.
it feels so incredibly personal, and you feel so incredibly trapped, and
Yeah.
you feel like if you leave because of somebody else's bad behaviour, you've got this sort of moral thing going. That's morally incorrect. That's not right. And we love a bit of righteousness as humans. We can't help it. It's sort of inbuilt in us that things should be right, especially if you're English. You know, queuing. We love a bit of queuing. If other people push a queue, you're pushing a queue. You're like, it's like somebody's just fucking declared war on the country. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I saw it at Disneyland last year, and we're queuing up, no problem. And this guy sort of moves into the row next to me, and this woman, English woman, just turned around. He skipped the queue. She came right up to this guy and went, I am not having it. I just looked, I was like, hands in the pockets. I was like, put your head down, pretend you're not British. It was like, because we love a queue. You know, in Europe, it's different. They go, well, I'll queue, but if I walk in front of you, you don't stop me. It's on you, buddy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Stand
Getting
up for
careful.
yourself.
Sometimes people just go, can I put this here? And you go, well, you know, yeah, you can. And then they walk in front of you, and you're like, did that fucking just happen? Did that guy just put a 6-pack of beer on the thing in front of me and then just go and pay for it and fuck off? How did that happen? Why did I let that? So we've all got this righteousness.
Yeah.
And I think it's normal to be righteous. But if you're working on a yacht and you're stressed because of you feel persecuted in any way, and then you leave, you feel like it's the wrong thing because you shouldn't have to leave. The persecutor should. You've got to leave, have a month with no wages, 3 weeks with no wages, find a new job in the middle of the season. And also, if you leave a job in the middle of the summer, your next employer goes, I'm not fucking sure. They left their job. Maybe they're a difficult person. Maybe they antagonise people. So, and even if you didn't, you would go, that puts me in a difficult position. My CV now is ruined. My strong CV gets ruined because somebody was giving me shit, which I couldn't accept. It's a very difficult position to be in, and you feel animosity and anger, and you go, well, no, I'm going to persecute myself by staying here. Really?
Well, on bigger boats you have heads of department, you know, so they got much tighter eye on their department, and then they they have meetings. Each department has meetings regular to discuss their
But so the head of department is also a psychologist. I mean,
Well,
they're acting like they've got to be there to support people, and is there training in that for heads of department?
Yeah, but you have a head of department, then you have under sort of, you know, like say in the interior or something, you'd have chief stew or second stew, and then, you know, a few different ranks in that department, and then they'll say, you know, that person's not pulling their weight or something, or it's got a bit of an attitude problem, so keep an eye on it. You know, and then they'll go and see the captain or something and say, you know, this issue's come to light. And I'll just watch it for a bit and then just say, you know, it's not working out.
I just think working on a yacht's a difficult thing to do because there's such a closed environment.
It's really difficult. I mean, but captain's job, I don't envy him at all.
No, not do I.
It's you know, and people are difficult to work, but then you see people, you're with them 24 hours a day. You know, so it's not like you say bye at 5 and they go home and throw a wobbler at home and then come back.
Go and have a moan
morning.
at your spouse. Go down the pub, have a beer, and go wankers. A lot of them leave it there in the pub and go back to sleep. Go in the next day and pretend it never happened.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey. But it does happen, doesn't it? I think that's why, because there's no escape.
Yeah,
there's no escape, is there?
It's interesting. So that's probably another area where mental health is more observed.
So talking of mental health, recently went to a restaurant in the local region and they didn't season the steak. And that's a trigger for me in a restaurant. How often do you go out to a restaurant as a professional chef and sit there and judge it? Are you a food judger?
I don't at all. There's one thing that just I can't handle at all is if somebody doesn't give a shit.
Okay.
You know, if it comes and it's bad and it's like, you know, I think I rarely send something back. Yeah. And I'm there to chill. You know, I don't.
But if it shows complete lack of care, that's a bit for you. If
somebody comes that doesn't give a shit,
slide it across the table.
Yeah, you know, that sends me. Like,
it's not a saloon in 1800s, mate. Fucking put it in front of me properly.
Yeah, but otherwise, like I've been trying to get a good steak in France for years. And
yeah, it doesn't happen, does it?
And yeah, because you spend a lot of time in the States and stuff, and you have like know, good steak when you order a steak,
proper cowboy steak,
exactly.
Things like that. And also you get amazing Black Angus and even like Snake River Farm Wagyu, beautiful stuff.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many ranches that are doing good beef, and then so I try in France. I go out for a meal, and the steak comes, and it's like that thick at one end, and it's that thick at the other end. In the middle, it's just all random, you know, and it's
all the grizzles on it. Most of it's grizzle. You get a ribeye. Somebody said the other day, "We'll never order ribeye." I went, "No, that's wrong. You should be able to. You shouldn't get a ribeye, and it comes mostly grizzle, a tiny little bit of burnt meat on this bit, and then this bit's just bleeding like it's not, like it's like literally just someone showed it a knife and it went, fuck, you know." And it's like, oh, how did that happen? How did that end up on my plate? I don't understand that. And it baffles me. And then you cut into it and go, well, there's one tiny little bit of nice meat. No one seasoned it. It's like, who's in the kitchen? You employed this person. It drives me crazy because if you're going to be a chef, try and be the best chef you can. I mean, maybe it's me that's got the problem. Be the best chef you can. I don't expect you to make everything fresh or be a fucking legend. I'm not asking you to put a fucking cloche over it and smoke it. I'm just saying it's a basic piece of meat. It's probably low-grade French, Charleroi, right? Or whatever it's called. There's nothing wrong with it, but when people go French beef's the best. Local, fuck off. Same in England when they go British beef's the best. No, it's not. British pork's not the beef. It's not the beef, obviously. It's not the best. Don't bullshit me with this. I love seasonal local, but I know what's good in certain regions. So you know, for example, down here, those Carol strawberries when they're in season are fucking gorgeous. But you have to catch them right, because if you get them at the wrong end of the season, they can be a little bitter and sometimes a bit firm, sometimes a bit dry if they pick them too early. So you've got all of these differences. I love French. I've said it many times. French red pepper in the summer when they're proper are incredible. They're a bit more bendy, but they're incredible flavour.
They are, yeah. But all the summer stuff,
it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, you see those little flat red peppers they get from Holland in July, and my supplier, guys, will send me a picture. I'll go, tell him to fuck off. I'll go, what? No, literally take the red peppers and shove them up his ass. I said, because I pay top dollar and I know they've got beautiful French red peppers that have literally come in this morning. And they're trying to give me that crap. And Chef Dave's going to kick my ass if I give him that. Because he knows like I do.
Yeah, I was just about to say, like some of the stuff you get. But that's really important, is the quality of the stuff. I think with suppliers, and it's come a long way since I know, like for suppliers, you source out, you collect the information and then source your people from your reliable sources, and but then some of the stuff that showed up from some suppliers, I had a crazy one in Italy last year, the worst I've ever seen.
Really?
I won't name
no
the person, but it was like the shit came in. All the cardboard boxes were like second hand.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like, so they're...
And chefs are very visual. And I think if you see something that doesn't look good, you dive in deeper. And that's when you start seeing everything that's not right. If everything looks amazing and you find one tomato at the bottom that's moldy, you go, okay, that happens. In a 5 kilo thing, okay, I'm not going to get stressed. But you look for everything and then it starts becoming a problem, doesn't it?
Yeah, so this one in Italy, I ordered 2 sea bass, whole sea bass for a salt baked sea bass that was requested. And so this order came, and it's just fucking piled up in this pile of collapsing cardboard boxes, and we were refueling at the same time. So they just put the boxes in, but there was.
And I can hear you moaning now.
Yeah. And so then I ordered these 2 sea bass, and they came in this polystyrene box that it was no lid. And it had like bits of the box broken off and diesel stains on it, and so it'd be literally somebody must have seen it floating around the port.
Yeah,
picked it up.
Gotta use that. That's it's a free poly box.
No ice and no lid, and there's just these 2 whole sea bass.
Middle of the summer.
Fucking Naples.
35 degrees,
baking hot.
40 degrees probably in the van.
and I was just like, I've never seen anything like that, like any sense of self-pride, labeling or anything. And I was like, oh my god. Obviously loads of photos and videos, and then
I can imagine.
I got in contact. So I contacted the guy, and guess what? It was my fault. Like,
how is it your fault?
I think.
Did you write muffin mixture?
I think there was because the tanker was. The fuel tanker that was fueling us up had mean that they had to park 10 feet back.
Oh, really? They really actually say?
Yeah, it was my
mate,
fault.
I'm sorry, but if you get a delivery whilst there's a fuel,
no, it's just I don't know. I think it's the only thing the guy could think of.
Wow.
We had to walk 10 feet further.
Yeah.
But so, I took photos, and then apparently the guy went home and left the office.
Yeah.
You know those calls.
Yeah, I know.
You've had a go.
I've been there. Hey, look, things go wrong. Do you know what I've always said, though? It's how you deal with it when it goes pear-shaped. Because nobody's going to get it right 100% of the time.
Yeah.
In this industry particularly, it's going to be impossible to do that. If you did, you're not human. Yeah. And I know aliens exist. If that's the case, if anyone goes, he's the best provision and never gets anything wrong, I'll go, right, they're aliens, let's fuck. Because it's not true, it couldn't happen.
Yeah.
So for me, it's how
you
you
get let
deal
down
with the
by
problem.
other people as well.
Of course. Hey, look, I'm sitting here 6:30 in the morning. The guy says he'll be here with the fish. It doesn't turn up till 7:30. I've got to get to Monaco and be there at 8.
Yeah.
Ain't happening, is it?
Yeah.
Now you're phoning me going, mate, this isn't acceptable. And I'm like, I know. Obviously, I have to apologise. And the thing is, you would say to me, not my problem. I don't give a fuck what happened. I'm complaining because I needed it at 8. It's your problem to be here at 8. And I get that. But it's how you deal with the problems that make a solution either better or not better.
Well, there's
find a
logistics
solution.
of, like when I call you, I've got information from people that we tend to be available at 8. And then everyone's
because maybe someone's coming in at 9, or the PA's departing at 9, or he's got
busy day.
Yeah, shit's
planned.
going on, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that happened recently as well. Everyone's got a busy day. So all the crew pulled together to get the stores on board, and then. It's at 8 o'clock, so or whatever the time is, and then everyone's there standing by.
Yeah,
30 people or 35,
waiting.
35 people waiting. And it's
and the van's stuck in the tunnel in Monaco.
So what time they're coming? And it's like 8, and they're waiting, and they've got shit to do.
Yeah,
they've got all their prep to do.
Yeah,
and
100%.
And everyone gets the arse with it. Half an hour they go. So when's it coming? And then it's like. They'll be here at 11.
Yeah.
11. We're moving the boat at 11. The big
11?
Boat.
No.
Yeah. So it's not
the fuel dock will be full. The whole thing will be covered in oil, and it'll be my fault.
Well, they've reserved the fuel dock. Or something's coming up. And then so there's other. It's not just 8 o'clock. We'll get there.
Yeah. I mean, it's a difficult.
8 o'clock means
8 o'clock.
Yeah.
I mean, we had one this morning.
Yeah.
They wanted it. Very late order, which is normal, of course, in this job. It's when I say late order, I mean like day before now, 8 o'clock. But to get to Monaco now at 8 o'clock, you'd have to be there at 6 because of the traffic, because it's absolutely chock-a-block. The tunnel gets closed all the time. And you'd say, well, okay, be there at 6, but my meat wasn't ready until 6:30.
Yeah.
So I need a helicopter, really, or a tender. I think that's the solution.
Yeah.
Decent, give me $1 million.
Well,
I'll buy a really solid tender in Antibes Port, and
Limo.
literally when we're delivering to Monaco, we'll just take it in a refrigerated tender.
Yeah, that's a great idea. You could probably do that inexpensively. Like if
could you?
like a barge type sort of thing with.
Wouldn't go very quick though, would it?
No.
Just leave it 6.
Yeah.
Same
2
problem.
weeks before.
Same problem. Yeah. Yeah.
No, but it wouldn't be a bad idea, would it? Like a refrigerated.
I want one.
That
100%. And
so I got a story
Monaco Grand
about
Prix, yeah.
Sardinia, talking about prices. So I was in the galley and on this, we're on charter.
Don't say the name.
And so I'm in there, and then somebody radios the galley and says, David, there's a guy outside selling fish. I guess want fresh fish for lunch. So like, cool. I whiz out to the swim platform, and then all the guests are on the deck above looking at the sky in his tender.
He's turned up in a tender.
Yeah, he's got an ice box in his tender
Okay.
and stuff, and he coasts boats and
Good plan.
yeah, fresh fish.
Cash.
Just got it. So I go out there, and he opens the ice box and he pulls out these 2 fish, like big, whole fish, and then I look at them, and all the guests are looking like, oh, that's cool, that's fresh fish, and then so I go, how much is it? And he goes, some ridiculous amount. I go, that's a bit expensive, and it slams the cooler shut. I go, fuck you! Fucking all kinds of gestures, Italian gestures, and then just fucking bombs off in his tender. All of the guests just like.
Did they hear the whole thing?
Oh yeah, they were like.
What did they say about it?
Nothing. Well, I don't know. I just went inside. I said, "Fucking run away."
I've heard of like a lot of chefs have told me over the years that they're in some strange place and some geezer turns up in a boat and goes, "I've got some fish for you," and they're like, "Great, fresh fish, lovely, easy peasy. Don't need to leave the boat." It's got to be the future, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I had that also in St. Lucia. So the boat boys come back there with the Rasta guys with their
fish.
Yeah, and big
What are
things.
they catching? Mahi,
and wahoo and
anything with really strange syllables in it.
Yeah, sometimes a tuna, yellowfin, or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's mostly mahi or wahoo. So same thing. They come to the aft deck, or they get the radio call, come out. There's guys selling fresh fruit, and it's these pineapples that are dry as fuck. Inside grapefruits are just dry as well. But they look great.
They look nice.
It's a sales thing they do. So, and then I said to the guy, "You got any fresh fish?" And he goes, "Yeah, I got fresh fish." So
of course.
Yeah, cool.
I'll be back in a minute.
Yeah, he goes,
jump straight in the ocean, swim.
Yeah, he goes,
straight down this spear. I'll get you a bucket. What do you want?
So they go ashore and they get this, I think it was a mahi, bring it back, and then go, fresh fish. And it's like, cool, get it into the galley, like cut open, it's frozen in the middle, the thing. They've just like dragged it behind the boat, got it out of the freezer. And it's all like just for show,
Do you think that yachts, because people know they have money,
yeah, 100%,
they get the piss taken out of them?
Well, this is the thing, on everything, on every
angle.
Yeah, we're talking about prices of stuff, which a lot of chefs now are, prices got shocking. But for mentions, you've mentioned, there's reasons for price increases.
Before COVID, pre-2020, summer 29, extremely busy. Do you think even then people are just taking the piss?
Yeah, but they do it on everything. Like, food's our thing. But everything for
every department's having the same issue.
Anything made, anything machined, anything like chandlers or swindlers, whatever they call them.
Is that what they call them? Yeah. Is that what the crew on boats call them? What do they call provisioners?
I don't know. I've seen some letters from.
Oh God, I don't want to know.
From captains to chefs, but friends of mine, chefs that, they've got the bill from the suppliers and they're blown away by it.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit, so because they've got to be answerable for this cash. And if they're in a program where somebody's on it, which quite often they are, it's like
they know they're going to get some shit.
Yeah, and it's like you hand the invoice and it's like. That's why I try and stay out of it. Just I want the food. There's the order.
Do you think there's some misconception? Look, I'm a provision. Of course, I'm going to argue my own point. Of course.
Well, you did years ago where you sent me. I was giving you shit about the price of something.
I love those conversations, Dave.
Yeah, and
sometimes when I'm late at night and I need to sleep,
yeah,
I think, oh yeah,
yeah, I was giving you some shit about the price of an order or something, and then you just sent me this job ad for a head chef in London.
Did I really?
No other text or anything. It's just this job. So I'd been giving you shit about the price, and then I looked at this job advert, and it was like head chef required for super busy restaurant. You needed all these qualifications, all this stuff, experience, and everything. And then underneath it was like £12 an hour or something like that. And I went, oh, I get it. Yeah. So again, provision is you need to earn money, and you need to support your business, and you need to, and you don't want to earn shit money.
Well, I mean, I ain't driving a Lamborghini.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like I'm living in a mansion driving a Lamborghini going, this is great.
Yeah, but you don't want to get out of bed for €2 a day or something, you know. Yeah.
I've always said if you can't, you know, I think this, like I said in the pricing thing I did the other week that I put out, I think at the end of this season some people are going to be in trouble. I really do, because the pricing is so high. I think some people are going to have cash flow issues for a kickoff.
Yeah.
Even if you did the same business as last year, you're paying 25% more. So you need 25% more in the bank to pay your suppliers. Because as we know in yachting, a boat doesn't come in, get an order Tuesday, we send an invoice Wednesday, he pays me Thursday.
Yeah, yeah.
That's fantasy land.
Yeah.
I quite often might not be paid for 2 to 3 months. That's normal. I mean...
And you've got a short season.
And it's very short. And you need a lot of money, a very short period of time. You need to spend it. And if you haven't got it, you're screwed. And I think there's going to be some issues this year. I'm not saying any provision as such. I just think that if, you know, and it's the crew budget that worries me more than anything else. Because if Mr. Johnson on his private yacht wants a Wagyu steak from Japan, he's probably happy to pay for it, considering the world's economy. The problem is the crew food, because the fruit and veg is high priced. I mean, I went on and on about it. I bored the piss out of myself, to be fair. But fruit and veg prices are very high. If you buy shit, you buy twice.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've said it to me several times. You go, I don't mind paying for it, but it has to do the job it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
It needs to last a good amount of time.
Yeah, exactly.
And it needs to be in good condition when it arrives, because if it isn't, I've got to buy again.
Yeah.
So that's when you feel like you've been fucked. You paid this high price and it doesn't last.
Yeah.
If you're doing a crossing at the end of the season, you want that to last you till you get to Fort Lauderdale. And if it doesn't...
Yeah, where you buy milk for the crossing and it expires the next day or something. You know, like, and that happens.
That's exactly right. You know you're leaving Tuesday the 15th. It goes out of date on the 22nd.
Yeah.
We haven't even got to fucking Tenerife.
Yeah.
You know, you're refilled in Gibraltar. You're on your way to Tenerife. You're like, milk's out of date.
Yeah.
That's not... But that's what a provision has to do, is obviously make sure we buy the better dates.
Yeah.
But again, then you've got your staffing issues, because if I'm not personally checking it, every litre of milk, every yogurt, every packer of butter, one will slip through. Yeah. And that's the one that even though there was 40 litres of milk, you know, and we put a sticker on it going, use this litre first, won't be seen, and it'll be halfway through the trip, they'll go, milk's out of date. You'll be like... Yeah, it's difficult. Again, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying I think there's so many aspects to this
There's
job.
so many variables in yachting.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many. Like things change, and there's nothing's straightforward.
Yeah.
You know, you just I want this like that. It's got this, but you know.
Yeah. I mean, I get people saying the crew will only use Lurpak butter.
Yeah.
Well, get your boat to England then.
Yeah, yeah.
Because that's where it comes from.
Yeah.
It's not a French product.
Yeah.
And if you want it, it's now $7.95 for a 250-gram tub.
Yeah. And
it comes in once a month, and it's out of date 2 weeks later. So you have to hit the right time. You have to be prepared to pay $7.50 for 250 grams of butter, which even, I mean, if the boss of the boat knew that was being paid for crew, he'd go, sorry, did you work 20 years really hard in my industry, dealing with shit, crying at night, bankruptcy on the verge every time, so you could have a Lurpak butter? Yeah, that's not why I have that. It's not why I fucking worked hard. Yeah, and then there's other boat owners who go, I don't care. Yeah, I've made so much money. Enjoy it. Yeah, you don't know what you're going to get, of course, on any individual.
Well, those are
yacht.
part of the variables, you know. Yeah, like, it's. it's a tricky industry.
Yeah.
And then we all have to work together to get it. The other thing with pricing is like when you're parked up and you got all the time in the world and you go like, oh fucking hell, you know, I can get this. But then when the shit hits the fan and you're out there and you need it now, and it's like,
different game.
oh, it doesn't matter, Damian, just get it.
Yeah,
you know,
and
like,
it does happen.
Yeah.
I have that all the time when this is one thing I want to ask you about. I'm trying to get a broker in here, charter broker.
Yeah.
Can't seem to find a charter broker that's interested in having a chat.
Really?
Nobody seems to want to, and I think I know why. How many times is there a late charter booked, right? And the chef will text me and say, we might have a charter tomorrow.
Yeah.
I go, okay, all right, I'll get prepared for that. He goes, I haven't got a list because I've got no preference sheet. I can't do an order because there's no guarantee that we've got it yet. And then at 10 o'clock at night, I get a message saying they've just deposited whatever it might be. Charter's going ahead.
Yeah.
They're on the boat
That
at
happened to us
midday
recently.
tomorrow. The problem and what I want to talk to charter brokers about, is during that conversation of that sale, of that charter trip, is there any conversation about you will pay 25% more if you book late for everything else on the boat? Because it's a rush job.
Yeah.
Because if I have to get my staff out of bed
Yeah, yeah.
and go, I'm really sorry, they may say to me, go fuck yourself. Because they live on land, they work a certain set of hours a week. I can't push that too far. And, you know, it's a tricky game. So, and everyone says, oh, but you're in the yachting industry. I get it, but people on land don't feel that way. Otherwise, they work on a yacht.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's very tricky ground I'm always treading to try and make sure my staff are looked after. I really respect them, and yet they do what I need to do when it needs to be done. But I don't think a broker, and I want this confirmed, that's the thing. I'm saying I get a feeling that when they sell that charter, just sell that charter and make my commission. Everybody benefits from that charter being sold. I do, you do, everybody does. You get tips. I sell food, but the problem is I then send a bill through, and we had to buy it where it was probably most expensive because it's the easiest place to get it from. Because we've got limited time. And they say, well, we need crew food, so we have to get it from our normal supplier. I can't run around the south of France for 3 days when I've only got 3 hours in the morning.
But that's probably what nobody thinks about. You know, like when that happens, everybody on the yacht will just be thinking, shit, I need to do what I need to do.
Yeah.
And they just think it's magic.
But then eight days later, the charter's finished and the principal turns around and goes, you taking the piss? What's this bill?
Yeah.
And you go, well,
but
did your broker not tell you?
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, that's the thing. There must be provisions made for that, you know.
I think there probably is.
Yeah.
But the amount of times over the last however many years I hear feedback from the boat going, we can't charge them this much. A last minute charter, and they'll complain about even the guest pricing. Sea bass, whatever, you know, sea bass in July is the fucking joke. Everybody wants it. There isn't enough. Everybody wants a 6 kilo. Everyone wants to have a salt baked 6 kilo sea bass to impress everybody.
Yeah.
That's part of the game, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's visual. It's about theatrics on a charter. It's about impressing people. It's about people going, oh, wow, that's amazing. And everyone applauding as it comes to the table and cutting it open in front. Look at the fucking size of that. It's all about that, isn't it? That's what it's all about. And the principal's got guests with him, or maybe colleagues or work colleagues and businesses they work with. They want to impress the shit out of them. And so this 6 kilo sea bass comes out, and you know you're out there cutting it, giving everyone, portioning it up for everyone's, making sure everyone's looked after, and then he gets the bill and goes, you're having a fucking laugh. How can that be 548 euros for one fish?
Yeah, yeah.
And you're like, well, I don't know what to say to you. And part of the reason it has to come from whoever has it. And the person who has a 6 kilo fish at 6 a.m, well, it needs to be delivered at 8 a.m, and I tell him, have you got one? He goes, well, yeah, but it's everybody wants it. So if you want it, it's 129 euros a kilo. And I go, what am I going to charge? Because now do I do it for free?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I can't because I've got fuel to pay for, refrigeration, I've got staff and social charges. Again, I'm not complaining, by the way. Anybody who hears this and goes, fucking hell, he's moaning. I'm just trying to get some reasonable knowledge out there of everybody's side of the coin.
Well, you're right, because probably nobody thinks about that. I know on yachts they don't, you know, really. They don't.
But why would you?
Yeah.
You got your own shit to do.
Yeah, I think that's you're dealing with a job in hand, you know, so you're also in that same situation, like, is it happening, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, and
yeah.
And then they're relying on you, the chef, to call your contacts and say, I'm in the shit.
Get this together.
Need this now, you know, I know what you need to do.
So you had a late charter recently?
well, just where they were undecided. The charter was always happening, but they didn't know where the pickup was.
Okay.
So it's in the Caribbean. So
That's tricky then.
Islands. Maybe you might have to edit that bit. Like,
Okay.
give where.
I'll bleep it out.
Yeah, but
I was in the bleep.
yeah,
In the bleep.
yeah, but the logistics are massively different from
Yeah.
the pickup, because if it's in St. Martin, it's Dutch, and Dutch or French, but the paperwork that's coming and the licenses and everything for importation are in Dutch. If it's in Antigua, it's different. If it's in
St. Thomas,
Bart's, it's
yeah.
French.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
it's and then it's got to get on the flight and be flown out. So
And go through customs.
yeah,
And deal with that whole thing and flight delays
yeah.
and bumped to the next plane.
So
It's
all,
never simple, is it?
It's all last minute. I don't know where you're picking up. And it's the logistics for each island picking it up is completely different.
And how did it go?
Yeah, it worked out for the best.
I mean, do you not think it always ends up working out?
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
Has it ever not?
And that's what
worked
happens
out?
with private boats when you work for private owners. They go, if you say you had a charter on the boat, and then after the charter the owner's coming straight on,
Yeah.
and you haven't got time to turn the boat around.
Yeah.
Every department doesn't have the time to turn the boat around, and it's just impossible. Can't do it. Get the provisions in, get the galley cleaned up, get the
It's
boat
hard,
turned
isn't it?
around.
Yeah.
And he goes, I'm coming, and he turns up and everything's done.
Yeah.
And he goes, I knew it.
Yeah.
Fucking knew it.
You always tell me you need 3 days. You've done it in 3 hours.
Yeah.
So I'll just give you 3 in future.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Yeah. So that's
okay.
that's
You just dug your own grave, haven't you?
yeah, yeah. And you always do it, by
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like,
yeah.
can you whip out dinner for 30?
And that's the leisure industry.
yeah,
It always gets done.
yeah,
It always works out in the end. I mean, very rarely has anybody been fired in these scenarios. And if they did it, they were going to get fired anyway. You know what I mean? They were hot on the firing list anyway. So let's not stress about it. What was I just going to ask you? Yes. Do you think the TV show Below Deck has been good or bad for the industry as a whole? And when are you on?
I don't think it's bad for like people have said to me. I remember in the beginning when it first came out, very very early stages, and then the talk in the crew mess was that's career suicide.
Career suicide, yeah. That's what I was saying. You should do it when you're doing your last season.
And then, but I was like, how's a career suicide? But
Only if you're a complete tool.
But then if you've got like, say, like I've got 43 years experience.
Yeah.
So when it came out, how long's it been out?
I don't know actually. I've actually
10
watched
years?
one episode.
10 years.
That's
or
all I've ever
something?
done is watch one episode because I don't think it's yachting.
So when
But
you
I'm
get,
probably wrong.
yeah, when you get your CV and it's landing in front of someone and there's 30 years there, and it's like, oh, he's worked there 30,
Great, great.
like 30 years. Oh, and then he did a season on Below Deck. Fuck that. Is it? How's that? Isn't it? Oh, he's on Below Decks as well. So how is it suicide? I never got that part of it.
I think it's generally because over the years there's been certain people who don't look good on it. They don't come out as professionals.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
There's one chef who was very blasé about the food. And I remember watching it going, if you don't care, don't be a chef.
Yeah.
I know places around here he could work if he doesn't care about cooking. And it's like, the big one for me is creme brulee in France.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's a fantastic dessert,
Yeah.
but it has to be done properly. And what I find, this is one of my triggers, man. They get a fucking ramekin.
Yeah.
They pour in the mixer they buy in Metro.
Yeah, yeah.
They bang it in the oven
Yeah.
and cook it. They pull it out, bang a bit of sugar on and heat it,
Yeah.
and stick it in a fridge. And it's in there for 3 or 4 days or 5 days before it's sold.
Yeah.
And it comes out and they're giving it a quick spruce with a Bunsen burner, as I call it.
Yeah.
Bang it in front of you, burning on the top, black, and inside cold.
Yeah.
And as soon as you put your first spoon in, you look at it and you go, well, I can tell by the texture that that's not fresh.
Yeah.
It's been in the fridge 2-3 days.
Yeah.
I mean, I made creme brulee at home a couple of weeks ago. I ate them that night. Yes, I had 4. But they're no good the next day.
Yeah.
In my
well,
opinion.
that's fresh food. I mean, that's the
But
big,
if I go to a restaurant, don't say to me, as this place did recently in Antibes, after I went, I'm not going to look at the dessert menu, but is there anything on there that's like freshly made? He went, oh, the creme brulee is famous. I obviously presumed he meant in a good way. He didn't know that I'm stupid. I presumed he went, our creme brulee is famous. And as he walked off, for being shit. Because I went, well, I'll have that because I love creme brulee. And if it's famous, I went to a fucking cafe in Portugal. I was on the tram that goes through Lisbon. And I got to this bottom bit, wandering around, and there's a banner outside a coffee shop. And it says, according to one TripAdvisor customer, the worst coffee in Lisbon. And I went, I'm having one of those. He was right as well. He didn't lie. It's fucking horrible. Awful. The lack of care in making this coffee was incredible. It was terrible. But it got me in. So I had a laugh. I laughed about it. My expectations were pretty low. But creme brulee is something. It's a French fucking dessert.
well, that's me with mangoes.
It's a delicacy, in my opinion, in France. Don't ruin a cultural dish like that.
Yeah.
You generally, if you're French and you buy creme brulee mix, stick it in a ramekin, bang it, don't care, stick it in the fridge, that's good for the week, those 10, then in my opinion, you've just insulted your own country. It's like being a British chef and putting out a very poor Yorkshire pudding. Not having a flat Yorkshire pudding going, well, mate, that's the best I could do. The oil was cold. Yeah. It's like, don't have some love and attention for what you do. Because I believe whatever, and I'm wrong, but whatever job you do, if you have passion for it, you will benefit from that in the long run. You've learned your trade over the years because you've given a fuck about what you do.
Yeah.
And every day you do it, you care. I've heard you on the phone with me when things aren't right. You're upset about it because you care about what you do. You actually have a passion for it. I have no issue with people phoning me going, that's not good enough, because I learn. And I know what that person's requiring. And I learn something about food every day.
Yeah.
And I hate people who go, well, yeah, but it's fine, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not fine.
That's what I laugh about now is, when you have a sous chef and crew chef and we get the provisions, they come in, they go in the fridge and stuff, and then working away, and then you just hear, fuck's sake. You're looking at it's like, what is it? It's like, what the fuck is this? Fucking throwing it around the kitchen. That's that video. What the fuck is this?
I always remember some baking sheets that you got.
Oh,
that was a big error. I learned the hard way that day. Some baking sheets were asked for by your yacht.
Yeah, I remember that.
And you didn't get the extra pat ones because they didn't have any, so we gave them what we could get.
Yeah.
But I should have just gone, no, don't get those ones because there's no point because they're shit.
Yeah, it's stuck to everything.
All the pastries in the morning stuck to it.
Yeah,
and they're beautiful pastries and they were ruined.
Everything stuck to it. Anything any chef cooked. I remember that well.
Water stuck to them. They were that shit. And I remember the video you sent me and I was so fucking embarrassed. I was like, because those pastries are kick-ass and now you've got them all stuck to the sheet.
That's a good example of shit you don't need to be dealing with. So like,
which is why it agitated you so much.
So like, it's the sous chef and there's fucking hurling shit.
I heard him.
Hurling shit.
I heard him from here. He was in the Canary Islands at Anchor. I was like, what's that now?
Yeah. So like, when you get a charter coming on or trip or whatever, all you want is the provisions to be fucking perfect.
Yeah.
And you'd much prefer not to pick up the phone and call.
Yeah, of course.
Just like to open the fridge and just everything.
Like I said, if you don't call, I know everything's fine.
Yeah.
Even if something's not perfect, you go, well, I can live with that.
Yeah,
so I don't need to phone him because I'm busy.
Yeah, yeah.
If you take the time out when you've got a full boat of clients and crew to phone me, I'm in trouble.
Yeah. So the scenario goes, guests are coming, they're coming on board, they're requesting stuff and they're getting stuff, and then like you've got shits, everything sticking to paper, and it's like, I don't need this now. I need stuff that doesn't stick.
The only time when I get one of those calls after somebody's just had a delivery and I'm panicking, I see the number, I'm not panicking. I'm like, oh no, it's been 2 hours. And they go, look, we've got the clients on board. The preference they didn't give us the right preferences. We need this extra stuff, and I'm like, oh, thank God. I thought the tuna was going over the side with the langoustine. There was a dead man. I thought it was going to be a hit on me from rotational super yacht chefs. It was going to be this man.
I've heard it before, like lobsters. Brand new.
Brand new.
I can cut them open straight in the bin.
Why?
It's just like all floury inside.
Oh, really?
Like disintegrated. Just, I don't know, maybe been in a tank a long time or something.
And that's the problem with lobster, because I remember I used to get lobsters in Metro years ago, because I would go down there myself, get a poly box, put straw in it, go in, and go to the guy, right, lobsters. He'd go, what size? I'd go, 600 to 800 grams. I need 10 of them. And he'd pull them out and go, no, I want that one. He'd go, what do you mean? I go, look, it's not doing anything. It's been in there a fucking week. And I'd be throwing it back in, get another one. And I'd be looking at them, flicking and going, are you alive? If the most lively ones, I put in the box. Yeah. The problem is I don't have time to do that, because the business grows. When I had one client a day, you can do that. Yeah. That's the bespoke service I always want to offer. But you're right. All the fishmonger companies have their own tank. Yeah. So they get their lobsters, they put them in. How do you know which ones?
They're still alive, but they just lose their flesh. I think they just lose weight. Yeah. And then
they're depressed, aren't they?
Yeah, well, it just goes to nothing. But they're still, like, you see them moving and stuff. But I've had it when you've got 12 guests on board and you've got 12 lobsters and you just cut them open, there's nothing inside. Yeah. And you cut the next one, there's some slush in there. And the next one. Tonight. And the next one. And then it's like,
what do you do when that happens?
If I can open the bin, throw them all in, and then just say,
change
either I've got a box of frozen ones. And so that's talking about, being prepared. You eventually, because I've had that happen over the years, you're prepared. Yeah. You've got a box. Like people say, why have you got?
You've got an emergency situation.
Why have you got frozen lobsters in this for that situation? Or if somebody says in the middle of the night, can we have lobsters? Something, and you're on anchor.
You're rocking and rolling. Yeah. That's a good tip. I mean, you do need to have. Even though most people would say, no, I don't want frozen food, it needs to be fresh. You can't do that constantly when you're at sea. Yeah. And you
arrive places and the shut. You arrive on a classic is arriving somewhere on a Sunday. Yeah. Often that happens.
And you don't know it's Sunday. Yeah. And that may sound silly to somebody sitting there watching this going, well, Sunday's Sunday, it's after Saturday, what's your problem? But when you're on a boat, you can just see this little hole in the water line and a bit of sunshine every now and again, and maybe the coastline. Yeah. You don't know what day it is. You don't even think about it.
Yeah, the days are irrelevant, but except when
you're ordering.
Yeah, you get there and it's, oh shit, we need a load of stuff and it's Sunday today. Yeah. But yeah, you have all that. Even like creme brulees and stuff like that, those convenient stuff, you have them. You may not use them.
Chocolate fondant. Yeah. A good quality frozen chocolate fondant can
have
solve a problem.
If you get woken up in the middle of the night and, you've got something you can do. Yeah. A situation, or suddenly something's happened. You don't have the time, but you've got the product. So, and they come a long way. I think those kind of things are good. Good stocks. Yeah. And all that kind of stuff that can get you out the shit.
What advice would you give to a chef looking for a job in the industry for the first time? What would you say to them?
Get a fucking life. No,
don't do it.
No, for me, it's been great.
Yeah.
Like yachting, so I can't knock it, and I'm just still love it. So, I'd say work on a bigger boat under someone, so you can see exactly how everything's done.
As you would if you went to a restaurant.
Yeah, and instead of being a sole chef, like and killing yourself and making all these mistakes, go on something for a trial, not a trial, but a short period or something, or long period to see how it's done. And then it's all pretty basic, and a lot of it's contacts. And I know you and other guys.
Well, you know everybody, don't you?
Yeah, so, globally, you can just pick up the phone and say, I need this, I need that. And
when you quit the industry, do you think you'll sell your Rolodex?
No, I can't be bothered with all that. I've got rotational super yachts, and I'd spend very little time on it. But I'm not really out there to get notoriety or anything.
I mean, if you think about it, you've got a lot of knowledge.
Yeah.
About literally so many destinations.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody would go, I'm in Peru, I need a bottle of watermelon. You go, no problem.
Yeah.
Juan's got them. He's got them in his garden, mate. You'd be fine. Here's his number.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Where are you? I'm in Alaska. What do you need? Inside out chicken. There's a guy in whatever street. He does it for you. He's brilliant. He just literally flips them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm in Greenland and I need Eskimo, whatever.
It's amazing
Snot.
that when you think about it, how you build up a sort of contact base,
Yeah.
you know, of years and friends and stuff that you can lean on to make shit happen. Whereas if you didn't have that, if you're coming fresh into the industry and you don't have that, like
It's a
everything would
challenge,
be
isn't it?
Mission, like where do I get this? Where do I get that?
I see it every year on places like Rotational Super Yachts or on a Facebook group, and they'll go, just turned up in Antibes, who should I use for provisions? And I look at it and go, which provisioner put that out to try and get a few extra boats? To me, obviously, for me, it's crazy. It's probably the most known destination for provisions, probably globally.
Yeah. I
The
saw
last
that
thing you
one.
need to do is bang that on, and all it is one provision after another, and all their fucking friends recommending them. And I look at it and I just go, oh my god, I can't bear it. Everybody's plugging themselves.
Yeah, I saw that. It's like CV harvesting, isn't it?
Yeah,
But
I don't even mess. If I see somebody on there, I'll literally directly do a DM to them and go, this is my company. We're based on Antibes. I'd love to have a chat. That's it. Your choice. Because you just see these shameless posts. You're like, oh, you've just embarrassed yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Very similar to this podcast.
But yeah, it's a funny industry, isn't it?
You've enjoyed it. You're still at the top of your game, probably.
Well, I've got a good job.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got a great job.
Yeah.
So, but it's been a long time since I haven't had a great job.
But you've got the experience. You're probably not going to find it very difficult to get a job when things do change. And we know that during COVID, with a lot of the Russian vessels that aren't in the water or working now, then a lot of chefs, a lot of crew had to find new roles, didn't they?
Yeah.
And if you've got good experience, you can be snapped up in a second.
Yeah.
So that's always a good thing if you've got years of behind you. Just one last question before we go. If it was your final meal, what would it be? Not to cook, to eat.
Burger King, I think.
You're going straight there now, are you?
Yeah. As soon as the shit's done, I'm out. No.
Last meal, someone's cooked, best chef in the world's cooking. What are you going to choose?
Might be sushi, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But I've eaten a lot of food over the years, like we all have.
Yeah. 3 meals a day.
Yeah. But I think sushi. I think a nice, good sushi meal.
Really? So you're a massive fan of uncooked fish?
Yeah, not a massive fan, but.
And do you make a lot of sushi?
We get asked for it quite a lot.
You've done a lot of preparing of sushi.
Yeah. We get asked a lot.
Yeah.
You know, on charter. You know, charters ask for it a lot.
Yeah.
And then that's why fish is important, fresh fish. You know? And then, like, going back to the fishing for yourself on your own boat, to fresh fish is fresh fish.
Your hand standards are pretty high.
Yeah. But then it's tricky with getting sushi grade stuff.
Yeah.
You know, real sushi grade stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like, you can sort of use stuff that's... But you know,
Yeah.
and they don't know probably, but...
Well, would you prefer to use a nice Scottish red label farmed salmon, or a wild salmon?
Well, I think the farm salmon, it's good colour and stuff.
Yeah, lovely colour, yeah. The Scottish red label, when you look at it, just looks tremendous.
Yeah, like wild salmon's pasty,
It's a bit paler, yeah. But then there's that white Baltic salmon as well, which is up until about mid-June.
Yeah.
Which is the white colour salmon.
Yeah,
which
well,
is
that's different.
species, amazing. Yeah.
I
I think that's a cool thing to have on a sushi plate. If you can get it nice and fresh, but it's only available for like 6-8 weeks.
Yeah, and that's
it,
the thing, getting it to work with seasons. It's also like Elba truffles and stuff like that.
How many times in the summer do people send me a message like, hey, have you got any white truffle?
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't.
I do it. I always ask, because maybe somebody's got one in...
A peeled black one,
yeah,
which is dry inside and gone white.
Yeah. something like that. You never know. Yeah,
You never know.
Somebody might have one in their cupboard or something.
Actually, what we have now is we have, and it depends. What would you do with the white truffle in the middle? So if you had one, a fresh white truffle, what are you going to do with it?
Well, anything.
Grate it over something?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's so versatile for dishes. You know, you can have it incorporate in your breakfast menus.
Have you never used freeze dried?
Yeah, I have.
Because I sell that now because that is phenomenal, and it's not put in a dehydrator. It's put in a like a laboratory freeze dry machine, which means it doesn't get rid of the moisture, which is where the flavour is. Yeah. So you actually, once you take it out of the pack and you use it, it gets the moisture back very quickly in the air, and the flavour is absolutely, amazing. I tried it for the first time this winter. I went to Elba, went to the truffle supplier, and I said, look, I've got to solve this problem. They went, what problem? I went, white truffle in the summer. He went, well, you can't solve it because there isn't any. I went, no, I get that, but I need to find a solution. And I tried the white truffle in the brine. No.
Yeah, it's weird.
No, it's not. It's weird, you're right. And I tried the dehydrated. And I tried the dehydrated, and I was like, very difficult to know depending what you're doing with it.
Yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal product. I don't know if you've used it much, but it is a game changer for me. And hopefully this season, when people say want white truffle, that's what I'd like you to take, because I think you can do it depending on what you're doing with it.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Beautiful.
Truffle season's normally like end of yachting and before the summer.
The season. So it's October to really the end of December, maybe the start of January. And so you could do it Christmas and New Year. You could get white Alba.
All the boats are like either crossing or in the yards or something in that period. It's in between things. So
you get the nice winter Aussie truffle in the summer. Yeah. So that comes in mid-June. Yeah. That's nice. That's a really good quality product. And I think for me, that's probably the most, I would love only to sell that. A lot of people want this truffle because it looks nice, you know. Yeah. But if you grate if you use a truffle slicer with a summer truffle, I think this is why people say, well, I got white truffle in Naples in a restaurant. No, you didn't. Yeah. What you got was a summer truffle that's completely dried out inside. Yeah. And it's almost white. It's like a very light grey. Yeah. And on the outside is the rind, the black skin. Yeah. And so when they use a truffle slicer, it looks white. Mm. And I think when the boss says, well, I had it to the chef, I had it in Naples on my pizza. They didn't have white truffle. They had summer truffle that looks white. Yeah. Because obviously a lot of people wouldn't know that.
Tricks you can do with white truffle oil and stuff like that. And then you get this, you know, if it's on a dish, if you can smell a truffle.
That's part of if you can see it and you can smell it, you're kind of done.
Yeah, no, it's always truffle, I can smell it.
Yeah, you could do, Are you a truffle fan?
Not like massively, like I do like truffle.
What about cheese? Truffle cheeses?
Yeah, I use the truffle brie for our things quite a lot, breakfast and the buffet. Yeah. And then other hard, like yellow cheeses. Yeah, with,
like a pecorino truffle things. That's beautiful, nice crumbly. Yeah. Yeah.
But they're good for the menu in many ways. Yeah. And I'm not a big fan of black truffles. Like, I think they're massively overrated. Yeah, I used to live in Perigord. You know, and used to go to the.
So you've had too many
truffle, but it's just
like whiskey drinkers, isn't it? Yeah. They go, I can't have another glass of that. Used to live in Scotland. Not for me.
Yeah, but you know, when you work in this industry for so long, you just put your hand to awesome stuff a lot. You know.
Do you eat well at home?
I don't spend a lot of time with food. I've got like, you know, other passions and stuff at home. So food, I like if I go out and eat it, but I don't do anything at home. Yeah. I just
you do enough of that work. Yeah. But I suppose what you're considering to be cooking at home, most people would think that's a gourmet meal. They would, though, because you're a private chef dealing with the most exquisite produce. Yeah. So even if you're just making something for yourself quick and easy at home, most people would go, well, I couldn't do that. Yeah. And I would thought you probably don't even realise that's the case. Yeah. You probably make a carbonara and somebody else would go, fucking hell. And yet for you, it's just basically throwing a few ingredients. You've done it a million times. Yeah. It's just, boom, easy peasy. You know how to mix the flavours because it's just in there, isn't it?
Yeah. But, when I'm home, I kind of switch off. Yeah. You know, like food, I'm really excited to do other stuff.
Yeah. Sailing.
Interested. Yeah, ever go
No
sailing,
bikes.
and I've got some land, or do bike trips, or
Did
go
you see
surfing.
you've been recently on a bike trip?
Yeah, I went through the Pyrenees like a week ago or something.
Cool.
It was really cool. And then surfing and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So food is at the bottom of the list.
Well, I think I'm really glad that you texted me and said, "Oh, I'm back in town," and I thought he's never going to come up because I know you're only here for like a day, aren't you? You're off tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm leaving tomorrow. Yeah.
So I really appreciate you coming in, and I hope that some of the knowledge that you have and your outlook on the whole industry helps some people out there.
Yeah, I think the rotation thing. I think
that rotational super yachts group. I don't think a lot of people even understand how much that's changed the industry, because it's a forum for people to talk about stuff, help each other, but also the concept of rotation wasn't something that was around.
Yeah.
And that group has really pushed it to the forefront. And it means that chefs stay in the industry longer, which means we've got more experienced people for longer, and they're happier. People's mental health is better, therefore.
Yeah, and it's more
and owners are getting better chefs.
Yeah,
so,
and it's more chefs saying they want it.
Absolutely. So I think you need to be very happy about what you've contributed to the industry over this 40 years, really.
Yeah.
Because most people wouldn't even know who runs and owns that group.
Yeah.
Most people wouldn't care.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, when they're on rotation, they need to remember who started that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You kind of were the person that started it, and I don't think many people really know that.
Yeah.
So I think from all those chefs out there who are doing rotation right now, they'll say thank you very much.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
All right, Damian, well, good to catch up.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun. Thanks for coming in, and have a great summer. And I'm sure at some point in the future when you're around, if you're around here sometime, we can get another chat and find out how awful the summer was. You never know.
Yeah.
And when you decide to move on with your career to the next thing, come and tell us what you're doing.
All right.
Thank you very much, Dave.
Cheers, Damian.
Take care.